Alright, we should be connected again. Just refresh if you haven't already. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. No idea what happened there. Internet just died for some stupid reason. I genuinely don't know why. Omnissiah be praised for the Emperor. Emperor protects. I was praying to the Emperor there, actually. And it fixed it almost immediately. What a coinkydink. I'm not saying the Emperor is real. I'm just saying as soon as I said Emperor protect, it came back online. So, you know, draw from that what you will. What was I saying? What were we talking about before I got, like, so rudely interrupted by my own internet? How does a WoW expansion's patch cycle work? Will there be new story chapters for DF? Sebiwebs. Okay, so yeah, the way... So it's actually changed now from what it used to work. The original was we would get the story. Soda Fresh, how you doing, fam? Lauren, by the way, how you doing? So how it used to work is... The launch of the game would see the story sort of start, and then we would have, if we use Dragonflight as an example, we would have 10.0.5. That is a balancing patch. So during that patch, you see all sorts of class changes and stuff happening. And then we would see patch 10.1, and this would be the first major content patch of the expansion. Patch 10.1 would then introduce probably like a new zone, as well as new story, new quests, new dailies, new everything. And usually also a new raid with patch 10.1. And then we would have patch 10.15, which is also a balancing patch, then 10.2, which is a content patch, and so on and so forth until patch 10.3, although in the last expansion, Blizzard sort of started doing away with 10.3. This time around, Blizzard is actually making a number of changes to that original sort of, let's say it, philosophy. We're getting new story in patch 10.0.5, I think. Let me just make sure, because they may have changed the name of it. They may have changed the name of it. Let me just make sure. It might be 10.0.7. No one will lie to you. Fuck you, Blizzard. Let's go on Twitter, shall we? My profile, right? Fucking hell. Zoom out a bit. I know I shared it. I just need to know where did I share it. When the fuck did we share this? I feel like I'm way too far back. Ah, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so here's the content cycle, shall we say, right? So in 10.0.5, we're getting the trading post, the Primalist tomorrow, white and gray transmogs. Then in 10.0.7, which is brand new, we've always had like 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9 patches, but they were never noticed because they would usually be patches that really just balances things, small changes here and there. Although this time it's actually like properly laid out insofar as it's the return to the Forbidden Reach, it's human and orc heritage armor, and the holiday updates. Return to Forbidden Reach almost guaranteed going to bring storyline with it. And then Season 2 launches with patch 10.1, and that brings a new zone, new story, new raid, new story, new PvP season, no fucking story, new Mythic Plus dungeon pool, no story, profession updates and user interface improvements. Then 10.1.5 brings a new mega dungeon, always brings new story with it as well because you have to unlock the mega dungeon. World events, probably also going to bring new story in order to unlock the world events, and then content and systems update. 10.1.7 is story and quests, so brand new shit there. Holiday refresh, no one gives a shit about that, at least not here. And then content system update, and then season 3 also new story, no story, no story, no story. So yeah, there's a lot of new story coming now. So new story chapters can happen. Oh yeah, so we get a lot of new story. Like historically speaking, the best parts of World of Warcraft story is in its patches. If we exclude the problems of Shadowlands and BFA, the base story in World of Warcraft has not even happened yet. You've only seen the groundwork that will become the base story in World of Warcraft. You've not seen the base story yet. Joy Darkman and other stuff like that. I couldn't give two fucks about that, to be honest with you. Will these things give it as well? I don't think so, right? Probably gonna have to make a group just to clear this. In SL, I ran out of story pretty fast, but we all had to wait for the new patch to get more. Now in DF, I finished the campaign, but there's still stuff to do. Some story quests left behind, Valdrakken Rape or something. Yeah, there's actually still a lot of story. I think almost every single one of the renowned stuff brings new story with it. Almost all of them unlock some level of story. You have the stories that involve Ysera. You have, yeah, there's shit tons of story that still has to happen that we have not seen yet. So I mean, I don't mind it either. There's a lot of people that's complaining about it and sort of annoyed at it. I think those people are complaining for no reason whatsoever. Because it's not like you have to do it. And it's also actually kind of fun. Like, I don't mind this renowned stuff that I'm doing here at all. Like, not one bit. I have to admit, I do enjoy while playing WoW, while saying good things about Final Fantasy and of course weird things. Alex, why? I like both games. I think both games are phenomenal. I don't understand why there's such hatred for the two games, because I think the two games scratches very different itches. You know, if you want a very deep story and you want a very deep storytelling experience, go play Final Fantasy. But if you want good story, but also if you want good story, but also very decent gameplay and just to have a lot of fun with friends and stuff, I think WoW does a brilliant job of that. Joking about your stream fucking earlier. Genioslav, how you doing, bro? Why your stream crashed? Oh, okay, okay. I did not get the joke. I do apologize. Fuck! Stop pulling them inside. Oh, you bastards! I'm not running off that. You can't like both. You have to pick one. Yeah, it's wild that people think that. If only people knew, though. If you're gonna make me choose, like if someone were to force me to choose, I wouldn't choose an MMO. Like if you told me no, you can only play one game or choose one game to like, it would not be an MMO. It would be a single player game. 100% single player game. Fall Guys. No. I mean, right now I'm replaying Mass Effect and having the time of my life with that. Jesus. No, 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 no. Fuck. Holy shit, grayed out. Let me go pull those. Because they seem to be still doing things.
It's too far away.
There we go. Let me go loot. Got Mass Effect at some point. Wait, you've never played Mass Effect? Sebi, what the hell are you doing with your life, bro? Dude, come on, man. It's one of the greatest storytelling experiences ever. Ever. I mean, wait, did I pick... I don't think I picked up the quest in order to pick up the quest. Do you need to pick up the quest in order to pick up the quest? I know that sounds so confusing. But you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Who the hell just showed up? But nothing paint by sounds of it? Abaddon, no. I finished any ME, but I've played all 3 for sure. I'm replaying all of them again now. I'm not sure. I don't think they're stream content, and I don't think anyone would want me to stream them. But in terms of, like... in terms of, like, fun, they are super fun. Oh, for fuck's sake. Wait, did I not pick... I didn't pick up a quest, did I? No. What if you don't play games off stream? No, I mean, so... you could try and stream it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't at all. The thing is just... so... I guess it depends on the kind of streamer that you are. Right, Sibi? Because... let me give you an example of what it was like playing a story game on this stream. So, people on stream told me, dude, you have to play Divinity Original Sin. You absolutely have to play it. It's so good. I was like, alright, boys, we're going to play Divinity Original Sin. Let's do this. So, I logged into Divinity Original Sin, and we played it. After 6 hours of stream and playing Divinity Original Sin, we had not continued, like, we had literally not completed a single quest. We were still on the starting ship. Right, 6 hours in, we're still on the starting ship. Because every time I would go to a conversation, then we'd start chatting about something. And then for like an hour, I would just be hovering in this conversation, talking shit, reacting to shit, like just never playing the game. So there are some games that I just can't play because I talk too much, and I like talking too much, and that annoys viewers because they want to see the story, and I'm not focusing on the fucking story. I'm just chatting to stream. It is alright on stream. If you do co-op, single player, yeah, it's kind of tough sell. There's no such thing as a tough sell. At least I don't think so. That answers my question from earlier that no one in fucking chat wanted to answer. I think you can play anything. There's plenty of streamers out there that plays like story games and video games that only play stories, and they do just fine. I don't think there is such a thing as a game that just doesn't work. I think it really depends on the kind of streamer. As a streamer, I just like chatting and hanging out with chat, so it really makes any sort of story game a very, very, very tough sell. You see that, Balkan? That's exactly the fucking point. Most of you assholes come here because you want to hear me chat mad shit. Like, you want to hear me just spew bullshit and say uneducated stuff. You're not here for, like, massive storylines and crap. So, if I'm gonna, like, let's say we start playing Mass Effect, most of you are gonna be like, dude, this is, like, way too high quality content. We're not here for this.
I call upon your help at this time.
I believe our goals to be aligned, friend. I would be honored to have your continued support in our efforts to secure the Citadel.
Nightshaft, how you doing? There are Raid Shadow Legends streamers? Dude, there are Raid Shadow Legends players. That's far more wild than the fucking streamers. I mean, I should say players. You don't really play Raid Shadow Legends, do you?
Never let your guard down.
Fuck. I should probably go with Sibelian. I'm falling behind with Sibelian, no? Who would you guys say I should go with? Rathian or Sibelian? Fairy Star, wait, what? You have to organize for people to get their hair done. What the fuck? What? I don't think that's how it works. Somehow my editor took 15 hours of footage and turned it into a 2-hour vid. Sebi, nice. Nice. The things editors can do, man. The things editors can do. Yeah, I don't think it's up to the bride to do the hair of the guests. Sebi, that is true. Like, if you can find a brilliant editor, it makes your life a million times easier. 100%. I'm clicking Rathian. I'm gonna do Rathian. It's not so much that, because editing isn't hard. In all fairness, editing is not difficult. The difficulty is time. Because whenever, so for example, I do all the editing for the main channel, right? Now, every single time I want to do a video on the main channel, I need to ask myself a question. Am I going to put the 4, 5, 6, 7 hours required to turn this into a good video? Or am I going to rush it, get it uploaded, and go live? Because I can't do both. There's just no way. It's not a question of time. It's a question of energy. If you're spending 6 hours of editing, it is... it's a different mindset. Sebi is actually... what Sebi is saying there is so fucking true. You're in this mindset of... you're very inward. You're dealing with yourself. You're expending a shit ton of creative faculty. If you have to start streaming after that, I don't think it's possible. I genuinely don't know if I could do it. Like, after a massive editing session, I don't think I could immediately swap and just go stream. My mindset would be all wrong. Oh yeah. Just for anyone on Groom's side, you don't have to arrange a hairdresser for anyone but yourself, though. It's only the bride that needs to look good. Fuck the guests. They can do their own hair. I don't understand. Is this some cultural thing that I'm not privy to? Because I'm pretty sure in South Africa, the guests do their own hair. It's not the bride. They don't pay for that shit.
Every action has consequences.
I knew you would choose me. I shall await your delivery of a key below.
A side bridal party with the bridesmaids and the bride? Yeah, no, bullshit. I don't agree with that at all.
Anything interesting? Keep your secrets to yourself. If you see anything strange, let me know.
Never been to a wedding where the guys haven't just done it themselves? The guys have barbers, I think, for beers and stuff. Wait, Nightshaft, where's that? At a wedding?
Is there something you wish to discuss?
I think there's people that care too much about what they look like, if you ask me. Every wedding that I've ever been to, I did my own fucking hair and beard. And by do my own hair and beard, I mean I woke up, I showered, and then I just left it, and that was fine. Snobby, how you doing? The woman. Yeah, but Nightshaft is saying things about guys needing barbers for their beards and shit at a wedding. No. If you're a guy and you actually go to a fucking barber to get yourself ready for a wedding, you're focusing on the wrong shit. Like, you care way too much about what you look like. You should just chill the fuck out. Like, no one gives a crap. Of my nails? I have never had my nails done.
Do you have something to
like
say?
Never. I see that's a new thing that guys are doing now. Going for mani-pedis. Like,
Don't forget about me.
fucking kid you not. I see that that's a new thing now. Guys going for mani-pedis, and I'm not sure how to respond to that. Is that actually something that girls like? Like, seriously, not trying to, like, start anything, but of the girls in chat, is that actually something that you find attractive? A guy that fucking does his nails and shit. And a Brock Lesnar with painted nails? Oh, yeah. That would be funny as fuck, actually. What's your confession, Abaddon? Bro, I'm getting married on the beach. I don't give a fuck. You could be in the sea swimming and just haul your ass out and up the beach. Watch the wedding, then fuck off back in the sea for all I care. Yeah, I wouldn't be doing that. King Julian, how you doing, bro? 19 months in a row, part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate that, fam. Holy shit, this guy is hurting like crazy. I didn't even notice. Okay, what the actual fuck is this guy on? Is there anyone that can help? What about you, Civilian? You gonna help me, fam? Bro, help! He's attacking me. Fucking hurts as well. Civilian, bro, pick him up. Oh, you guys suck dick. Thank God. Fuck that, bro. I'm not kiting jack shit. How you doing, man? Thanks for the first time chat. Really appreciate that. There's some of these you can do alone. Some of them just hit way too hard. And I don't want to sit here and kite. That's a lot of effort. I don't feel it. I'm just here to chill. Vichelon running to Daddy Civilian. Yeah, but Civilian didn't help me, did he? He's a little slut, is what he is. LBR, yeah, but that's a whole different discussion. I'm just talking about guys that actually go for mani-pedis. And the question is that something that girls actually like?
I'm out of range.
I don't have a preference for either of the two. I don't trust either of them, Sibelian or Rathian. Did you get your nails painted and see if it brings more women's to the stream? Dude, that's not gonna help, is it? I don't think that's gonna help. The reason there aren't more women's in the stream is because I don't look like Brad Pitt. And I don't think fingernails are gonna do the trick. Maid outfit might help. Dude, I will not be getting a lot of views with a maid outfit. I don't think. Just stream with a Brad Pitt deepfake? I could do that. Can you imagine the amount of fucking uproar that would cause if you actually did that? Should just get a group together for this. The forum is so much easier when you're in a group. Or just follow along and see until you find a group that's killing shit at the minute. If there is anyone killing shit at the minute. Civilian with the eggs with chef's kiss? Wait, so you actually do prefer Sibelian over Rathian? I don't trust either of them, because I think both of them have something to hide. Dude, you think Sibelian... Like, of course they're both bitches. The thing is, I don't trust Sibelian. Because I have the sneaky suspicion that Sibelian might actually be corrupted. Don't threaten a man who can wield a banhammer, Julian? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit! Oh, poor guy. He got completely fucking wrecked. For shame, bro. For shame. You shouldn't have pulled that many, though. Like, that was your first mistake. Pulling way too fucking many. You ever gonna read Berserk? Read what? Why am I reading Berserk, or why should I read Berserk? I'm not sure what's... What? I have less context than what I require for that question to be answered. Lurking Games, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the first time chat. Really appreciate that. How you doing, man? I see chat is starting a war with Abaddon. This is going to be interesting. I wonder who would win. Mods versus chat. Chats are hostile today. Angry, bro. Angry. That's just how it goes. Okay, I need 6 more of these assholes, and then we should be done. Wait, am I in combat? What the fuck? No. What up, fam? Oh, this is a rare? Oh my god, I don't want to be in this. Into moderation is one of humanity's biggest errors. What makes you say that? D-Rocker, how you doing? No, it's Q&A in, what, 35 minutes? No, does that qualify as soon? Yeah, I wasn't even planning on playing WoW, in all fairness. But it's happened now. Here we are. Let's see. Is anyone doing... Oh, shit. Wait. I didn't collect that. I've done all my dailies on WoW, filled my vault, and capped my valor. Now I have nothing to do on WoW. Well, isn't that... Why is that a problem? There's so many people that get so butthurt. I'm not saying you, D-Rocker. I'm not saying you are butthurt. But there's so many people that's just losing their shit because they're running out of things to do in the game. And it's like, bro, just go play something else. Fuck. Like, you don't... Like, the game does not need to keep you busy 24/7, right? You are allowed to play other games. Blasphemous Crow, you bastard. 18 months, part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, fam. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Looking Games, what exactly do you mean, bro? Because you can technically moderate yourself IRL. People moderate themselves IRL all the time. Oh, Botazma. Prime sub. 2 months. Part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, fam. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, but remember, this is where Lurking Games, you're sort of looking at it way too specifically. In real life, you can take yourself out of a situation where someone is that you don't necessarily want. We also have moderation IRL. When you go to a concert, for example, right? Security will take you out if you're causing shit. If you do stuff that upsets everyone else, security will remove you from the premises. This is very similar to that. Mods remove you from the premises if and when you sort of upset the general order of things. Now, is it possible that mods can go too far? Absolutely. Which is one of the reasons I don't have set rules for my mods. My mods enforce the rules that the channel has, and then for almost everything else, it's based on their own. Based on their own ideology of how they want to sort of interpret things. But for the most part, I would say we adhere to free speech here. So people can say pretty much whatever the fuck they want. Within reason, obviously. But yeah. Yes, this is very similar to that. And if we had guards for literally everything, it would be a sad and pathetic place. But we don't have guards for every place. Nor would we. We have guards for places of communal, where people come together and there's a lot of people in the same place. That's where we have guards to ensure that people play by the rules. I don't see why that's a problem. And why that would make things sad. If you didn't have that, it would cause many, many fuck-ups. Let's go do that, shall we? Yeah. Alderson, 6 months, part of the DJ Nation. Oh, shit. You guys have just set off the hype train. Give me money, bitch. Give me all your cash, bitch. Yeah, but wait. Dude, are you just saying things to say things, Lurking Games? Like, I swear to God. It feels like you're just... Are you just typing stuff to try and get a rise out of people? Because that's what it seems like to me. Because you're certainly not making points because they're intelligent. Libraries are public grounds. You physically can't keep people out of a library, but libraries do have rules. And if you break the rules, you will absolutely be escorted out by security. Will they stop you from entering? No, because it's a public area. And public areas are generally speaking accessible by the public. Are they? Could have fooled me, bro. Fairy Star, 4 months, part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My library is next to a liquor store. There's a guard on the door basically all the time. Well, there's obviously going to be guards. They just won't keep you out, but they're going to be there. But no, I mean, not to discredit entire movements, but Mr. Lurking is, he strikes me as one of those internet warriors, you know? The guys that, they view themselves as at war with the internet or some shit. And so they have to make points that no one was fucking talking about in the first place. They have to start shit that no one gives a shit about because, you know. And also they have to derail the conversation to something that they can actually contribute to. Right? That's the point. You see, the problem for most of these online fucking Andrew Tate fans is the intelligence usually extends only to a few topics, and so whenever they enter a space, if the space isn't talking about the handful of things that they can actually talk about, they have to change the conversation to sort of fit the handful of things that they can actually contribute to. I mean, I guess I could go. I could become the next Andrew Tate. Why not? Let's go full fucking ape shit. Start telling people how to live their life and shit. Lurking Games, I'm gonna... Thank you very much, Abaddon. I was literally about to ask you to relieve this guy of the torment that is his life. So thanks for removing the guy. It was rough watching him try to be intelligent. So I really appreciate you removing that burden. Was taken out by a 19-year-old girl in a pizza box. Don't be like, okay, Basmus, please, for the love of fuck, do not say that ever again, because that's just not true. It's not true. It's like the most fake news ever. The pizza box had nothing to do with anything. I mean, we can hate on Andrew Tate, but don't say that. It's a story that was made up on Twitter, and because mainstream media doesn't actually do news, they just sort of ran with it because it sounded good. I'm sorry, Sibby. I didn't mean any offense by that. Obviously, Twitter is as real as it gets, right? The truth media. Absolutely, bro. I think everyone knows that mainstream media is absolutely the most trustworthy source in news. I didn't know that you could pick this shit up. Dude, this is a revelation. I didn't know you could pick up these tongs outside like this. This changes the way the game plays forever. I heard Trump may be coming back to Twitter, apparently. Isn't he on, like, Truth Social, some bullshit? I don't know. Why would he leave his own platform? Didn't he, like... Isn't Truth Social, like, his platform? Why would he leave his own platform? I mean, I wouldn't mind if Trump came back to Twitter. He was funny as fuck. Like, the shit he would say and the way that people would be outraged by it, I could use that level of entertainment in my life again. Especially now that he isn't president and, you know, it wouldn't cause as much damage. It's perfectly fine. Like, let's bring him back. Let's get some fucking entertainment on Twitter. Twitter's pretty stale these days. Confefe was the best tweet ever. Did we ever get an explanation for what that actually meant, Stevie? Like, just why was that tweeted? Like, was there ever an explanation for it? Because he tweeted it out and everyone ran with it for a while. Like, the media made some big bullshit about it. But I don't think we ever found out what it was meant to be. Like, what it stood for. Papa Shanghai, you know, fam. It does actually make it pretty cool. Confetti. Oh, shit. I remember the world losing their crap over that. That was funny. It was actually a little funny. Oof. Almost pulled you guys. Nearly as iconic as America can be summed up in one word. I have an idea of now making fun of Biden, right? Yeah, he likes to say weird shit like that. The man has an intelligence that you and I couldn't even begin to understand, man. Coffee, kefefe sometimes. Why? Fuck. I forgot I actually have dungeons. So I need to kill one more rare enemy. So I'm just gonna chill here until the rare enemy spawns. I got IDM'd you on Discord, that theory about old gods. Can you check it out? I will, dude. I will. Not sure if I'll do it right now, because we're doing Q&A in about 20 minutes, and if your theory Takes longer than 20 minutes. I don't want to rush it. Which is ultimately what will happen. Morning, how you doing, bro? Lockdog, that's not the point. It can be one paragraph. What happens if what we talk about goes for half an hour? Would you want me to rush actually, like, talking about it? Because Q&A starts exactly at 2 o'clock. I don't like going over theories so close to Q&A. Because then I have to rush, and I do not fucking like rushing. Okay, I need a rare enemy to spawn. Like, just one, for the love of fuck. Why do they always spawn and now they're not spawning? No, I'll definitely go over it, Lockdog.
I've been keeping an eye out.
What the hell is this
The
supposed to do?
Black Talon
What?
are always loyal.
What is shaking foundations? Ah, okay, these are the ones I have to do in the dungeon. Alright, so now I'm just waiting for some rare to spawn. So we can get that done. Talk about last 20 minutes, tops per topic. Yes, but King Julian, that's because you're not intelligent enough to have enough to say to speak longer than 20 minutes. What are you talking about, bro? What do you mean, how can a topic last 1 hour? Dude, I can think, just off the top of my head, I can think of topics that would last longer than an hour. Let's discuss the concept of freedom. Just that conversation will be, what, a good 2-3 hours if you really wanted to have a decent conversation on it? Oh. I mean, there's a million topics that would take... We can talk about World of Warcraft and the lore of World of Warcraft, and that would last 2-3 hours easy. Is there life outside of Earth? There you go. Another fucking topic that would last quite a few hours if you really wanted to dive into it. Are they downstairs? So I should probably go downstairs, right? No. No, 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 no. You're not getting me to fuck off here. I have a rare to kill. Is the human rights that is the best the one from the West, which is only a small percentage of population compared? Token to that one, my short answer would be yes. I think the West's take on human rights is far superior to almost every other country on Earth. Actually, to every other country on Earth. Because the West's take on human rights considers the human as an individual, and that the individual is sacrosanct. Right? So, in other words... I think Ayn Rand said it best. The smallest minority is the individual. And it also happens to be the only minority that matters is the individual. The individual encompasses everything. There's no group. The group does not matter. It doesn't matter what group you belong to, because groups are made up of individuals. And it's the individuals that matter. But surely history proves governments have our best interests at heart. Of course. Of course, I trust my government explicitly. I think we should discuss what new model this VTuber should get. A femboy model will work wonders for Akko. I don't know. I think my voice is a little too deep for a femboy, right? Don't femboys sound like girls? I don't know. I've only ever spoken to one femboy. And it's a member of the community, and they had a pretty feminine voice. So it's not as if... I wouldn't call myself an expert on it. You can try to talk in Uhu. I would kill myself. I would not do that. That is such a cool... Look at that. Where did he get that? What skin is that? There's no individual, because all individuals find themselves in some sort of group. No, but you... What the fuck are you saying? Just because groups are made up of individuals does not mean that without groups there would be no individuals. That's not true. Without individuals there would be no groups, but if you had no groups there would still be individuals. Life would be a hell of a lot harder without groups, because even countries are groups, right? It's just very large groups. But no, you could absolutely have individuals without the group. You just can't have groups without the individual. And also, dangerous things happen when all you do is focus on the group. It becomes very dangerous very quickly, because it's very difficult. Actually, Stalin said it best. One death is a murder. 1,000 deaths is a statistic. Right? Or actually, his direct words were, one death is a tragedy. 1,000 deaths is a statistic. It's far easier to justify terrible things to groups than what it is to individuals. We're just waiting for a rare to spawn. 1,000 deaths is not a genocide, King Julian. If the 1,000 people that you're killing is the same as you, and also happens to be the same within a country, like for example in Russia. When 1,000 Russians die, you're not committing genocide against the Russian people if you, the government, kill your people. You're not killing a specific group within the country. I mean, I'm sitting here chatting to you guys. Fuck. I don't care waiting for a rare to spawn. If no rare spawns, and that's fine too. I don't mind. I like the break in gameplay because it allows me to re-chat. You can check in Drake Customization Station where all their options drop from. I literally just made this one, and I'm pretty happy with it. For a while, I used the bronze one, I think. I'm glad I'm back to this one, the Proto Drake one. It just feels more Drakey, you know. Philistic, 2 months, part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, fam. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Damn, finally my Prime got open. It's time to support Akko. Philistic. I appreciate the support, man. The Razageth skin is so tasty. That's the one we just saw, right? That one is really cool. If you want that skin, you have to kill Razageth. Nah. I don't care enough about that shit. I do have to do it at some point, though. I do have to. But who gives a shit? Just saw the news. Your foreign minister is making friends with all the right people. Huh? Who the fuck is my foreign minister? I don't even know. I mean, South Africa is making friends with all the right people, though. Like, we've got this shit covered, bro. You guys have no idea. We are entering, like, we just had war games with Russia. Like, literal Navy war games with Russia. And now we have Russian warships stationed here in South Africa. As well as Chinese warships stationed here in South Africa. So South Africa really is poking the bear. You know, really. Just looking at the West and being like, go fuck yourself. Get your Western stuff while you can before sanctions hit. Met with Russian foreign minister today and making statements about getting closer to Russia and China. Oh yeah. South Africa is... Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you guys would be surprised. South Africa has always been communist, and they have always supported Russia. Always. This is nothing new. The South African government supports Russia and China, absolutely. The South African government also happens to despise the West, which is always something that really bugs me. My government will complain about the West, speak about how evil the West is, how the West needs to suck a dick and stop telling Africa what to do. But when it comes to taking money, my government is very happy to take all the money they can from the West. Like, whenever the Americans want to hand out money, my government's on their knees smiling like a fucking donut. Right? So yeah, it's weird. A former Mythic Raider, for goodness sake, it should be a piece of cake for you, Akko. Yeah, but I'm not going to do it. My science impression knowledge to share with Russia and China reminds me of Belarus with the Lukashenko, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think it is going to backfire because while, yes, South Africa does do... Shit, okay, something just spawned. Where did it spawn? It's over there. I don't know where... Oh, right here. Fuck. I need someone to help. I'm not going to kill this thing on my own. No fucking way. Where's the people? I don't want to start a group now. Someone pull it. Quick, but there's another one that just spawned. What just spawned? Cauldron Blakor. Easy. Furious. Holy shit, bro. 43 months. Part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate that, fam. How you doing, man? Alright, there we go. Quest done and done. Okay, let's see. Do we have any other quests that we have to do here? Not really. Only these two. And I don't think I'm gonna have time to do those, so it doesn't matter. Maybe one day we'll form a raid group.
I'm sure.
Have we met? Go on. I'm certain you have things to do.
We'll form a raid group in chat. I might as well kill this guy too, right? I mean, they're busy doing it. May as well help out. No good with one day, Akko. I need ahead of the curve mythic. Dude, I'm not... Do you think I'm gonna do fucking ahead of the curve mythic? That's a stretch. I'm not doing that. Make a Euro account with a VPN and lag my way through to help carry? Dude, the lag isn't really that bad. People just think the lag is bad, but it really isn't. I'm of the firm opinion that you can play WoW at 200. Anything between 200 and 300 is perfectly fine to play WoW in. If you complain that that's too high, you're trolling. Genio, I'm playing in on Kazakh EU. You can pull the whole dungeon as a hunter, then find death. Sebi, you're welcome to. You're welcome to. I wouldn't even judge you for that. That's just hunter things. That's what hunters do.
If you see
Someone
anything
has been
strange,
aiding the World Breakers.
let me know.
They have summoned a vile monstrosity from our past into existence. You must destroy it.
And how far are we
I've
now?
been keeping an eye out.
We're still... Wait, we're
past
Fang only
should
now
remain
with
in the
Rathian.
past.
Shit, this goes a lot
Though
quicker than I
fear
thought.
The World Breakers will never cease in their
There's your
goal
key, fam.
to bring about the hour of twilight.
Great. Why do I have to bring this many fucking keys to him, though? Oh, hunters are brain dead, Sebi. You should probably not have made a hunter, because...
Welcome to the Dragon Isles.
I mean, this isn't always
in all
true,
your
but
battles.
generally speaking, this is true. Lower IQ people tend to gravitate towards hunter. You know, so people for whom all other classes would be too difficult to play, they tend to roll hunter because it's just easier to sort of play. And also when you make mistakes, most of the WoW community tend to be like, oh, you know, this is to be expected. You shouldn't have rolled with a hunter. Yeah, but warlocks have better pets. They're demons, so right there, better. Demons equal better. What the fuck did I just... What was that? I think I just destroyed something that I wasn't supposed to destroy. Yep, that's how it goes. Demonology Warlock is cool, although I prefer Affliction. Oh, I should probably take that. I forgot. I need to take this. No. Oh, it's another storm here. I'm not going to be able to do this storm. Not right now. We don't have time. Making your own butter. How the fuck do you make your own butter? What are you even talking about? You want to know what's the wildest thing to me? The amount of people that complain that they run out of vigor? How? How do you run out of vigor just flying? And I genuinely don't just mean people that's farming. I thought it was just people farming that was running out of vigor. And then it turns out, no, fam. There are actual people that just by flying from one side of the isle to the other runs out of vigor. Dude, you can spam buttons. It doesn't even matter. Like, look, I'll spam buttons as much as I can. All right. I still have 5. So, what? The faster you go, the more vigor you get. So, I don't understand how you could run out of vigor. It makes no fucking sense to me. Yeah, when people farm, that makes sense. Blizzard needs to balance the farming better. The farming is absolute shit at the minute. But there's people that complain they run out of vigor just by flying from one side of the map to the other. Not having a full tree might make sense, though. Out of vigor all the time? Genio, you have to teach her, bro. Like, it's not possible.
Your tale will be remembered.
Blasphemous. Okay, so what you mean is, Evans, how you doing? Necro, how you doing? As I understand it, in 10.0.5, the buff that now gives 10% vigor replenish speed will give 400%. Jeez, that will fix it. Necro, that'll definitely fix it. So what you're talking about is effectively, so from here, just what? Going up. Is that what you're talking about? But that's also like, so okay, let's do it. You see, you are gaining vigor. So I'm going straight up, right? And now I've run out. I mean, you can literally, every mountain can be scaled exactly like this. And now you can go and you'll just regain your vigor again. Like, I've not met a single mountain in this entire game that takes more than 6 vigors to get up. Yeah, you gain vigor while going up as well. You just have to time it correctly. Like, obviously, you do it, and then you go until you lose a little bit of speed, and then you go again. And you'll see, you actually gain a little bit of vigor every time. No, you could do it. Yeah, okay, if you don't have a complete tree, sure. But why don't you have a complete tree? You should have a complete tree. I like this, by the way. I know it doesn't matter at all, but I like it. When you're just randomly flying, every once in a while it pops up. There's a little thing that you can collect and survey the world a bit. It's cool. And I also like the way this world looks. So cool. Even if you don't have a complete tree, the fly straight up and pitch slight down is the best way to go. True. I never stop to use those. I always go near them. Place to another. Orcs in their impulse to claim shit no one wants. Yeah, we claim everything. Let me quickly go to the bathroom and then we start with the Q&A. Give me a moment. Right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start the Q&A now. So for those of you that have questions, please please drop them into Discord. Just do ! Discord for the link. Drop them into Discord in the Q&A section. You'll find it. It's not hard to find. I think it's literally called Q&A questions. And then jump into the Discord channel. Into the Q&A lobby. And you can ask your question personally, or if you prefer, Moni can ask the question on your behalf. So yeah, we have a shit ton of new questions that we have to get through. So this is always good news. I like when there's new questions. Moni, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Can't complain. Can't complain. Just giving people a few minutes to get in here. If there's anyone that wants to ask their questions personally. Make sure everything should be fine. The answer for the questions is 42. What's the question though, Evans? Is that the size of your dick in nanometers? 42. That's a lot of crap, man. I just flew from the lowest point on the Waking Shores to the highest mountain peak between Azure and Onara Plains without touching the ground. It's okay, so I do want to say though, before you guys just call out, right? So for example, Mocha, you calling out Blasphemous Crow there, keep in mind, right, that different things come naturally to different people at different times, right? So for example, flying in terms of dragon riding may come incredibly natural to you, right? And you immediately understood it. It just made intuitive sense to you and it was perfectly fine. And then for someone else, there's other parts of the game that they catch immediately, right? But then there's parts like dragon riding that maybe they don't get, right? It doesn't make as intuitive sense to them. So before just straight up saying that's a bunch of crap or fuck you, bro, or you're stupid, man, try and remember that different people will find interest and also sort of connection with different things in the game. So yeah, there's also different routes to places that aren't always ideal. Blasphemous, I would say I've not had any. Personally, I've not had any areas in the game that I have struggled with at all. Like, there's not been a single time in my entire playing of World of Warcraft where I've had to go somewhere and not have been able to get there. If I'm very honest, like, just that has not happened yet. Not saying that it can't happen, just that I have not experienced it yet.
Besides, I've always felt the Flight Master paths, that the flight taxis are always the most unoptimized.
Yeah, I mean, they are shit. They're just shit. I haven't used a single flight path since Dragonflight started. Just low-key, lording it over us plebs with his pro gamer skills. Avedon, I am a pro gamer. That's true. I haven't seen you in a while. It is 6 in the morning over here. Oh, shit. Citron, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Happy to have you here. And yeah, the stream times have been incredibly bad. I get that. It's been horrible. It will be fixed as soon as I get the battery and inverter installed. I'll go back to evening streams, which would make the timing a hell of a lot better. It's always similar to that cabbie that knows you are not from town and will show you the town. I don't know why flight paths are so inoptimized. I don't know why Blizzard have decided to make them so bad, but they are bad. Alright, I'm assuming people will join the voice channel if and when they have questions. So for those of you, just a quick recap. If you want to ask your question personally, which I do prefer actually, because I actually get to have a conversation then, jump into the Q&A voice channel right now so that Moni can pull you up when it's your turn to ask your question. If, of course, you don't want to deal with that and you don't want to talk in front of, I don't know how many viewers we have, but you don't want to talk in front of X number of viewers, that's perfectly fine. You can still ask your question, and Morning will ask your question on your behalf. So there you go, right? 61 viewers. So if you don't want to speak in front of 61 people, that's perfectly fine. We shall not force you. Anyways, with that being said, Morning, who is the first question from, and what is the first question?
The first question is from Kestraz, and he asks, is Murazad like an example of the first Deathwing and a minion of the old gods?
Is Murazond an example of the first Deathwing and a servant of the old gods? So this is where we get into very weird timey-wimey stuff, because technically speaking, the answer to that is no. Because Murazond was created long after the creation of Deathwing. Long after the creation of Deathwing. Deathwing, if you don't remember, when Deathwing was created, Nosdormu, which of course is Murazond, was still Nosdormu. Therefore, Murazond has not come into existence yet. But when you start including the timeline BS, then absolutely Murazond is first. In fact, from a time perspective, the argument can be made that Murazond was there at the very beginning of time. Now, I had a theory like a while ago, probably 2-3 months ago, that I'll very quickly recap here, because I don't think many people saw the theory. But basically, my argument was that I believe Murazond was the one that drove the Void crazy. So if we look at the Void, and this theory really has a lot of its origins due to our sort of incursions into Warhammer 40k. So for those of you that don't know, I've recently gotten very deep into Warhammer 40k, absolutely fell in love with it. But in Warhammer 40k, they have this area called the Warp. Now, the Warp is effectively considered to be the Immaterium, and everything else is the Materium. So, very similar to the Void in that sense, because everything is considered to be reality, it's considered to be real. Void is the opposite of everything that is real, because Void is emptiness, nothingness, so to speak. So the argument for me there was that what if, from an inspirational standpoint, and we know that World of Warcraft was and is heavily influenced by the Warhammer sort of overarching story, especially when it comes to sort of the god level stuff. There is a lot of influence there, and that god level stuff really permeates throughout Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k. What if the Void was once truly the place where souls went upon death? So the true Immaterium. If the Void is the nothingness and the somethingness is reality, then this means that everything that exists in reality will eventually pass into the Void. This also then explains why Yogg-Saron refers to himself as the god of death. Because otherwise, that reference makes very little sense. You're not the god of death. We've been to the lands of death, and you were not there. You were not considered to be a god within the lands of death. So why would you refer to yourself as such? Notwithstanding even your ability to create a creature of decay like Galakrond. How did Yogg-Saron have that ability to create something like Galakrond? All of that is explained if the Void was the original place where souls and death resided, the death of the universe, so to speak, and something corrupted it. So some kind of corruption led to turmoil within this realm, which one could argue came after the creation of all of the cosmological forces, or one could argue that it happened before. Now, for this, we go to the book, the Chronicles, but also, I believe the Grimoire of the Shadowlands also does a pretty reasonable job of this. And well, actually, the best job of this would be the in-game journal, the expedition journal that we found during the Shadowlands, where they're trying to figure out the language of the first ones, and they come across this passage. The passage speaks of one force or two forces in the beginning that then became multiple forces, but the multiple forces only came into existence when they were required to be so. So the exact words, I believe, is when there was a need for more. So when there's a need for more suggests that something happened. Something happened that required 6 forces to come together and either fight the something that happened, stop the something that happened, or maybe halt the something that had happened. And in this regard, my argument is that what if Murozond, at his creation, now the way you need to understand is you look at the timeline as an holistic whole, and you say, right, we have the beginning year, we have the end over year, right? So we have the timeline right here. Murozond, or Nosdormu, was turned into Murozond. Let's say, if this is the end, let's say somewhere here, okay? This is where Nosdormu is turned into Murozond. Now, according to what Nosdormu really did, is the end moved closer, right? Because Nosdormu and the Bronze Dragonflight took all of the timelines and tied them into the end times. So that is the end of the timeline as we know it. It all ends within the timeline. Either Murozond dies or Murozond wins, but that is the end of the timeline. But never mind, for this, let's say for this exercise, the end time doesn't move, so this is the end of time. Nosdormu gets turned into Murozond over here, and this is the whole of the timeline. Well, at the creation of Murozond over here, Murozond would now exist in every other time on this timeline, going as far back as the beginning, but also as far into the future towards the end. So Murozond would now exist in every moment in this timeline at the same time. Because Murozond is Nosdormu, and Nosdormu was given power over the timelines. So Nosdormu can influence the timelines and also travel between these timelines. So it is not inconceivable that Murozond could have been the first, and Murozond actually caused a lot of the problems that we have in our world today. And I say this by looking at what the Infinite Dragonflight wants to achieve. The Infinite Dragonflight, by the way, is Murozond's Dragonflight. They are sort of trying to end every single timeline that we know of. So they're bringing an end to all of these timelines, and the idea behind it is that when there is just one timeline left, and they then kill all of the aspects, Murozond will be the only aspect left. That's the goal. Because right now the problem is, if they were to kill an aspect, that aspect still exists in all of the other timelines, and so they would have to kill the same aspect over and over and over again. Whereas if they can just destroy all of the timelines, they can basically make it that they only have to kill one aspect, and that gives them Murozond being the true aspect of everything. This then, in order to understand why this could have led to the corruption of the Void, we have to look at the Old Gods, because the Old Gods is the best information that we have on the Void. The Old Gods are said to see every single truth, right? They see 1,000 truths, and they believe in 1,000 truths. This could be considered timelines. The reason the Old Gods are said to consider all timelines, all truths, is because they see all timelines, and unlike the light that only views the single timeline, which Aman'Thul and the Titans also view as the correct timeline, our timeline, it's the sacred timeline, and the light views only the sacred timeline as the true timeline, the Void instead views all timelines as sacred. It's all of it is true, because it doesn't matter in which one of the timelines the Void wins, as long as they win at the end of the day, that still leads to victory overall. And for Murozond to destroy these timelines, Murozond is effectively destroying the truths of the old gods, if that makes sense. And that would lead to, I guess you could say, corruption within the Void and within the Void Lords, as they see their truths being destroyed by Murozond, and this leads them to sort of craziness. And this is where the Void then becomes the enemy of all, as it's referred to consistently by many others. But of course, the Void has their own enemy of all, of which we don't know who that is. But we know that the Void also believes that there is an enemy of all. So the question really is twofold. On the one hand, yes, through very convoluted storytelling, Murozond could be the original Deathwing. But on the other hand, no, because Deathwing was before Murozond, if that makes sense. I hope that answers the question. Because I know it's confusing, but that's really the best I can do with this one. But I do thank you for the question, by the way.
Yeah, in a way, Murozond could be, like, in his own madness, a unwitting pawn of the old gods. Like, they could see him, like, you know, taking out these timelines and freaking out, and I don't know, just pick one of them. Cthulhu or N'Zoth is like, we could use this to our advantage.
I will say though, Morny, I've been asked to tell you by people in chat they don't like your accent when it comes to saying Murozond, because it sounds like you're saying Murozond without the N, and people get triggered by it. So I'll ask you, or I'll tell you here, for the sake of the internet, right, and the sanity of people that can't move on from small, stupid shit, because it really is stupid. If you get triggered by someone saying a name different to you, you're a fucking moron. But it doesn't matter. It's Murozond with an N. Make sure that you fucking push the N so that people can stop complaining and being like, oh my god, he's saying Murozond even though it's Murozond. Anyways, I just wanted to tell you that so that the people in comments can shut the fuck up.
Pissed at me because I say washcloth.
I have no idea what people get angry of. But, I mean, it happens to me all the time as well, because I pronounce things different to what they want it pronounced as. And then that's a massive problem. But yeah, anyways.
Oh, no, I get it.
Yeah. Okay. So, I hope that answers everyone's question about Murozond and exactly what Murozond is or isn't. The truth is, very little of this character in World of Warcraft is known. All we really know about Murozond is what the dragon aspects tell us, and also that he is Nostormu, or was Nostormu. But that's literally it. Outside of that, we've only really dealt with Murozond once in the Endtime dungeon. And then, you know, during the Chromie questlines, we dealt with some of his flight. So yeah, hopefully we get a lot more of Murozond. And maybe even a little bit more deep dive into Murozond. But I do appreciate the question nevertheless.
Yeah, personally, I hope that they save him for a expansion all on his own. Like, they build up to him in this one, like it looks like they're doing with Dragonflight. But with that said, I'll pull Morose up, who's our next speaker. Okay,
that's cool. I just want to say, Mocha, the problem is if you type your question in chat, we will definitely miss it, because I'm taking Morrens's question now, and by the time I'm done with Morrens's question, there's been a lot of chat going on in the meantime, so no chance we'll see it. The best place to ask your question is almost always going to be in the Q&A question section on Discord. Yeah, sadly, that really is the best place to ask the questions. For all other times that we aren't doing the Q&A, you can ask your question in chat and I'll answer it there, right? As you guys know, we basically, every stream is a Q&A stream, but this is officially a Q&A stream. Yeah. Anyways, Morans, how you doing, fam?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. I'm happy to hear that you're doing good. What's your question, man?
Okay, I'm gonna read it out because I already forget. The goldfish brain. Hold on.
All right.
All right. I was watching some of Preach. You know Mike Preachwell, right?
Yeah.
And he was doing a quick viewer raid of Razdagath, and I hadn't seen it before. And man, like a bunch of those fights, you can get punted off the cliff, and I love that. I love that in FF. I love that in any game. And then someone mentioned there were a bunch of mechanics they took from Lost Ark, but I didn't play that game.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, did you notice any new mechanics that they may have been inspired from other games for it? Because it looks cool.
All right. So in terms of raid, I can't really speak on because I have not done the raid myself. I'm sort of just enjoying the outside world. And this is also just coinciding. I know that's not part of your question, but I do want to point this out to people that's complaining, oh my God, there's not enough to do. I genuinely don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm not doing Mythic Plus, I'm not doing raids, and I have more than enough to do in the game. The outside world is keeping me busy plenty, and I'm actually having the time of my life with it. So I don't know what people are talking or complaining about.
Can I mention something on that?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, I noticed Asmund, he'll go and farm her down, I guess, on these elites.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Like one of the big weaknesses of FF is it doesn't have dangerous outdoor areas. The closest thing is Eureka, which is instanced.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, they need more. That's really cool. That was always one of WoW's strengths, and I was sad when they got rid of dangerous elite areas after Classic, like with BC and Wrath. You know.
I love the new. Okay, so I really enjoy the elite areas that we have now. We literally just before the Q&A started, we did Rathian and Sibelian, which I consider to be a pretty elite area because you can get overwhelmed there relatively quickly. And there's also constantly rares that's spawning that it's nice because you're almost always with other people there. It makes it really feel like an MMO. The Cobalt Assembly is another place that's just really cool that really pulls a lot of people together. So I like the fact that there's these rare areas that you sort of, and it almost always coincides with some kind of elemental storm that gives you just extra reasons to be there. So I do think that is in and of itself a new mechanic in World of Warcraft that I think is working incredibly well. Like I can't speak on new mechanics in raids or even in dungeons. I will say, though, I am having less fun in dungeons this expansion than what I had in previous expansions. I don't know why, though. I've not done enough dungeons to really put my finger on it, but one of the dungeons, for example, the Ruby Shrine one, is the amount of trash in that dungeon is just a little obnoxious for the amount of bosses that you fight. Like, the boss to trash ratio feels slightly off. And then the other one that I really have just super amounts of trash that I didn't enjoy, I think was the Black Dragon one. I don't remember the name now, but that one also just have a stupid amount of trash that just feels a little annoying, at least for me, right? But oh, the other one that also, again, names completely escape me, but the one where to get to the final boss, you're running on this bridge and there's waves coming past you. That one is also super annoying.
Oh, that's the Primordial Tsunami.
Yeah,
from Halls of Infusion.
Yeah, I think, yeah, might be. But that dungeon is also kind of super annoying.
Wait, actual waves or waves of enemies?
No, it's actual waves. There's waves of enemies too that you have to kill on the bridge, and then there's these waves that comes past you. Now, the bosses are cool. This I will say though, I have found that I love all of the bosses in this one. There's a lot of mechanics that almost every boss requires some level of thinking, some level of planning, some sort of strategy that needs to be followed. So I don't mind the bosses. It's the physical dungeons. So the trash shit in between the dungeons that I find a little tedious at times. But then again, I wouldn't take my word for it because I've never been a huge fan of dungeons in the first place. I've always preferred raids to dungeons. The only fight that I've seen in this raid is a massive spider, and I saw a short like clip of it. But there's like a massive spider.
The guy who said Lost Ark mentioned the spider. So do you know what he meant? Because I don't.
I never raided in Lost Ark, but I will say it's nice when I saw it, and I believe it was during the Preach video where I saw that spider boss. I love the fact that I love the scale of the boss. You know, the way they've presented the boss. It's a massive spider. The scale, the way the room works, the position
Can you bring
of the
this
bosses.
up? I've never seen this. Can you bring this up?
Where would I find that? Can someone tell me what the boss's name is so we can quickly do a Google search of this?
Cinerath?
Cinerath. Okay, let's go with that, right? Cinerath. There should be footage of it. I'll quickly bring it up. Hold up. I don't want to watch a guide. I just want you guys to like see it. But the scale of it, the way the boss presents itself, the sort of levels of the boss is really awesome. Like really, really awesome. I'm just gonna like pick a video here. I'll just mute it. So as you can see, that's the boss there, like hanging from the roof, and it requires you to run around the platform and try to get away from it. This guy, for some reason, is playing top down, which is super annoying. Like, why would you play top down? And then the next guy they chose is a guy that zoomed into first person mode. So, you know, not entirely, but there you go. You run around in this boss and you have to work with the pillars in the room because the boss keeps pulling you closer to them. It's a pretty cool raid. I love the size of the room as well. Like, if these guys were actually looking at their screens normally, this would probably not be the biggest issue. But
no, this is really cool. The guy who mentioned DKs can cheese it with Death's Advance. So like in FF, you have an ability that stops knockback, so I'm assuming it's like the same thing. But that's really cool, because like Lost Ark also has like these big, like different level bosses, and I guess that's what the guy meant. I mean, this looks really cool. Yeah,
look at this. You're running up to different areas of the platform. Blizzard already started doing that with the raid, the final raid in Shadowlands, where bosses would also have multiple rooms that you physically had to run to, rather than just like in the past, you would be teleported to different platforms, or you would just fall down to different platforms. You're moving from one platform to the next also becomes part of the quote-unquote challenge of the fight, so to speak, which I think is really cool. I mean, I've always loved Blizzard's boss design, but as far as like mechanics in raids are concerned, I have no idea. I will probably do the raid at some point though. I will say though, in terms of implementation just in the outside world, there's definitely been a lot of inspiration taken from other games. Just obvious things like Guild Wars 2 and their flying system. I mean, that's just obvious, right? That Blizzard took that from Guild Wars 2, but then you also have just the profession stuff. You know, the evolution of gathering professions. Someone literally made me aware of this on my video about professions and what I think Blizzard could do with dragon riding and gathering. Someone made me aware that there are certain types of nodes that do actually have mini games attached to them. So if you do the mini game, you get more out of that node, versus if you don't do the mini game, you don't get more out of it, but it is quicker to do. These are all tactics that I think. So here's what I'll say Blizzard did brilliant without going through every single thing that's been added from other games, because I'm definitely going to fuck things up and I'm going to miss things and people are going to be butthurt that I missed their favorite game that Blizzard took some inspiration from. The masterful thing of Dragonflight is how Blizzard have borrowed from other games without losing the soul of what makes World of Warcraft World of Warcraft. At no point have I felt like I'm no longer playing WoW, or WoW just feels alien to me.
I think the only thing like people might object to with the soul thing is some of the aesthetic, like with the dragons. Like, you know, the people will complain they look like twinks, or I don't know if I could say that, but like Asmund said, like the more big, hairy, bare-chested men there are, like the numbers go up. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think, like, look, not gonna, like, I don't like the way the dragons look. I'll be honest. The Drakthir just look like a sexual fetish. That literally, it looks like someone has some kind of fetish with dragon porn, and that's effectively what they made here. At least, that's what it looks like to me. I'm sure there are people that really like the way the Drakthir look. I'm definitely not one of them. Oh my god, I'm literally seeing a tactic that Blizzard have taken from a different game here. At least if I'm looking at this correctly, it looks like the ground is frozen and you sort of slide over it. Like, you can slide from one side to the next. You have to be kind of careful. I believe that was literally taken straight. Like, Final Fantasy has a few bosses like this, where the ground turns into ice, and if you move to one side, you can literally run off the platform because you'll just go in that direction without any ability to stop. I'm not sure if that just what it looked like to me here, at least with what this druid is doing, or maybe he's just lagging like crazy, and we're just seeing him glide all over the ground. But yeah, this is obviously just an example of it. But no, so here's what I would have preferred from Blizzard when it came to Drakthir. It's fine, have the Drakthir, right? And make the Drakthir into the dragon furry porn, whatever the fuck they call it. You know, wet dream that a lot of people may or may not have. But why not also give people the ability to make bigger, meaner dragons? I mean, it's a dragon form, right? There are plenty of types of dragon forms out there. You could have gone with others, like as an extra choice, instead of what because the Drakthir really don't fit my fantasy of what I want a dragon to look like. I've always been very much in favor of a playable dragon being added, and then when I saw it's Drakthir, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was a little bit of a meh moment for me, because it was kind of just like, well, this is not what I imagined when I thought, let's get some dragons.
Yeah, they look like they look more like the Argonians from Elder Scrolls than they do anything like
True,
we've seen in WoW.
That is actually very true. Yeah, it very much looks like the Argonians from Elder Scrolls Online, rather than like dragon, you know. I'm always for choice though, so I don't mind the fact that Blizzard is adding more furries and stuff to the game. I know some people really hate it, but hey, there are people that's into shit like that, and why should they not be able to play the game? But yeah, I would prefer if Blizzard would also keep in mind that there are a lot of people that isn't necessarily into that shit, and don't really want to play like that.
I wish that we would have used the new model for the four-legged Draconoid tenders, the ones that are usually tending to the eggs.
Oh yeah. Like I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, you could have had a few, right? But at the end of the day, this is a start, and I know people are gonna get annoyed with me for saying that because I say it a lot, but it is a start, and it's a good start. If we compare, like, let me put this into perspective for all of you. Compare Dragonflight to Shadowlands, and tell me that Blizzard haven't come a very, very, very long way. It's night and day. I mean, I despised Shadowlands. I'm absolutely in love with the Dragonflight because it's two different worlds. So I think it's a good place to start. Obviously, we could all admit that there's more that's required, and hopefully we will get more at some point. But for an early sort of a first try, this is good enough, I think. And they should definitely borrow more, because that's what makes Blizzard Blizzard. Most people don't know this, but World of Warcraft has always borrowed from other games. That is where World of Warcraft's success has always come from, is from borrowing from other games and doing it absolutely brilliantly. So I do feel sorry for all the MMO makers out there. For a while, Blizzard sort of forgot that that's what they do really well, is just take what other games have done and just make it better. But it seems like Blizzard
That's a cool
is back.
idea. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
Yeah, I mean, people joke about it, but a lot of the great things that World of Warcraft have was taken from other games. It was like literally just taken from another game
100%.
and made better. So, yeah, the fact is, all of these games that sort of, you know, had like 6 years off where they could just come up with new content and World of Warcraft wasn't copying it, are now going to have to deal with the fact that Blizzard is back to copying your content and just making it better, which I'm all for, because Blizzard is they're the masters of doing it. So yeah, I'm sorry that I couldn't answer your question in more detail, though.
No problem. Can I ask one thing real quick?
Yeah, is it a completely different question? Because then I would have to just start the recording again.
It's just for, well, sort of. It's about the economy.
All right, hold up. Let me start the recording again. Okay, you can ask.
Morny, did you raid? Just out of curiosity.
I used to. Now I kind of just do a bunch of solo content. The furthest I get to is like maybe Raid Finder if I'm feeling up to the challenge of once again proving to myself the depth of humanity's stupidity.
All right, I gotcha. I got a buddy of mine who's in like a heroic raiding guild, and they're like just thinking about getting into Mythic now.
Yeah.
And he's getting mad because they're asking him to do Mythic Plus, pretty, like, you know, regularly, like keep logging in, and they're also, he's saying he can't keep up with the amount of gold, and he said, I'm gonna buy one WoW token and that's gonna be it, you know. And then he ran out of money, and he's like, well, you know, am I gonna do it, or am I gonna keep doing this? So like, I remember about a year ago, Bellular did a video talking about this.
Yeah.
And how people basically have to spend like $20 or $40 a month to keep up in this sort of environment.
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
All right, so I have a few. I don't think it's a secret that the WoW economy has been pretty bonkers for a while now, in just so many ways. Right, you have mounts that came out during BFA that's 5 million gold, which right there suggests to you that things have gotten quite crazy in terms of the gold game. I think also the other problem is that there's a lot of people in World of Warcraft that play a lot. Right, so there are people in World of Warcraft that basically play World of Warcraft as their only game. They don't play anything else. They log in every day, 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they just play. And then obviously you have the true degenerates that will play 12 to 18 hours a day, all week, all year. Now for them, gold is not a problem. And the inflation of gold isn't a problem. For the ordinary raider, almost negligible costs in the past have become an incredible problem now. So we can just look at things like repair costs. Repair costs have become stupidly expensive, where you can spend a couple of thousand gold a night just on repairing your gear. And you have to, because if you have zero durability, you're basically not wearing gear at that point. So you have to keep repairing your gear. That can cost you a couple of thousand a night. Now you could argue, well, actually, you don't even need to. You can spend like 10 minutes and make 1,000 plus gold. Yeah, but not everyone can. because everyone plays the game very differently. And the way the economy is set up in World of Warcraft right now is it does punish the person that only wants to play the game in a specific way, and the way that they want to play the game isn't necessarily conducive to making gold within the game. This is why boosting has become such a big thing. Sure, there's a lot of people that boost for real money, and a lot of people that make actual money out of boosting, but there's also a shit ton of people that boost that only boost for gold, right? They just need the gold so that they can actually play the game and afford to be able to play the game. If you start to include things like pots, things like flasks, things like enchants, that becomes a very expensive hobby. Considering that the game itself is also meant to be a hobby, you can very quickly start being like in a world where your hobby has turned into a second job. And I do think that that is something that Blizzard absolutely has to start looking at. My fear is that they won't, because they have a financial incentive not to. You see, that's where dangerous things start to happen. It's one of the reasons, for example, let me use a real life example that doesn't affect anyone but me in this chat. South Africa currently have massive power problems, right? And we don't have electricity for most of the time. There are interest groups in the country that are making bank as a result of load shedding, right? Of us not having enough electricity. And these...
Can I interrupt you before I forget?
Of course.
This happened in the United States, and it happened in California mostly, through a company called Enron, if you've ever heard of that. It was one of the biggest frauds ever, and they made a ton of money selling power to people who didn't have it for various reasons in California through like wildfires and stuff. There was even... Well, I'll stop there, but yeah, continue.
Yeah. So these interest groups have a vested interest in load shedding continuing because they need the money, but they also have the power to influence the people that make the decisions to ensure that load shedding continues indefinitely so that they can make more and more money. If you apply that exact same concept to World of Warcraft, you have portions of the game that has become increasingly more expensive to actually participate in. The way most people get around this is by buying WoW tokens. Blizzard now have a financial incentive to ensure that people continue buying WoW tokens, so they're going to keep things roughly the same to ensure that WoW tokens keep basically, you know, flying out the door. That is not a healthy thing, nor is it a good idea, because what happens when your friend finally reaches the end of his rope and he goes, okay, you know what? I love this game, but I can no longer afford it. It's become super expensive because I'm already paying the $15 a month, but now I'm also paying, you know, $50 or $75 a month just to get the WoW tokens to get the gold so that I can actually do the raids. This is unaffordable to me. I simply can't handle it anymore. I'm gonna quit. That's not good for the game's overall health in the long run. And again, I really want to press this home because I know there's going to be a lot of people that go, oh my god, it's so easy to make gold. If you asked someone like Bill Gates about money, he would probably tell you that it's so easy to become a billionaire, he doesn't even know why you're complaining about money. For some people, things are just easier than other things. And it's not... So, for example, I can load up almost any game, and within 10 minutes, I will know how to play the game. It comes very intuitive to me. Like, it's a very intuitive thing. I have a feel for games. But if you asked me to fix an electrical problem on a car, I don't have a fucking clue. Even if it's a simple thing, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea how to do it. And then there's people that they'll look at the car and they'll just intuitively know what's wrong and they'll be able to fix it. But if they were to play a video game, they wouldn't have a clue where to start. Different people are good at different things for different reasons. And the same goes for making gold. For some people, it happens to coincide with the way that they prefer to play the game in the first place, and then they just make a lot of gold. And for others, they would have to stop playing the way that they want to play in order to actually make the gold. Like you said, your friend is forced to log in every single day and do Mythic Plus because the guild requires it of them. But this means that they can't actually make the gold required to actually keep up with raiding. So now they have to buy a bunch of WoW tokens in order to, you know, keep up with the costs of raiding. This is not healthy, and it's not sustainable. Blizzard will have to look at the WoW economy at some point and say, right, something needs to change. We need bigger gold sinks, because the reason prices have gotten so out of control is because there isn't enough gold sinks in the game. There's not enough ways to help people get rid of their excess gold, which means if you go down to the auction house right now, you'll see ridiculous prices for certain things, because people know that there are people that can pay for it, and that's obviously what they want, right?
All right, I'm going to bounce because you have another Giga Chad waiting to ask a question. So thank you, and I'll see you.
All right, thank you very much for the question, bro. Really appreciate it. Take care of yourself, man. All right, Moni, who is next?
Up next, up next is Sharky. Let me just move him on in.
All right, cool. Sharky, how you doing, man? You are muted, sir. I think you have to... there we go.
Got me mid-bite of my sandwich.
Oh, shit. What kind of sandwich is it?
Look, we don't need to talk about what kind of sandwich this monstrosity is, all right? It is food, and it is going in my stomach.
Oh, shit.
It's
monstrosity.
I found it in my fridge. It's things I found in my fridge and are in between two pieces of bread.
Hey, sometimes those make the best sandwiches.
You have offended my puppy.
Sometimes those make the best sandwiches. Just gonna throw that out there. There's definitely something to be said for just throwing things together and seeing what comes out the other side. Sometimes it's disgusting, other times it's fucking delicious. So yeah, anyways, what is your question, bro?
My question's a super quick one. Besides the LoL Pro scene, and by the way, super happy Fnatic lost their game. Haven't even watched it yet, but I know they lost.
Yeah.
But besides LEC, do you watch any other esports like StarCraft or Hearthstone, or I think WoW has something, but I don't know?
No. I don't watch it religiously, but I will watch the World of Warcraft Arena Championships, like whenever I can catch it, because sometimes there's some very interesting games there taking place. But for the most part, no. I'm pretty much an exclusively LEC and League of Legends esports fan. So yeah,
you are missing out on some pretty hilarious things Korea has done.
How so?
I don't remember what tournament it is. I would have to go look it up. But in StarCraft Brood War, they got the reigning world champion. They rented out an airport hangar and had him come in on like a private jet they rented. And then the guy who was gonna fight, who was against him, just like had to walk in via normal stage.
Yeah. Wow, that's a bit excessive. Like, fuck.
Korea is pretty crazy with some of the stuff they do.
I mean, I mean, the League of Legends thing is purely by accident. By the time, I was so deeply addicted to League of Legends, and then I found out that there's an esport about this game, and so I just got into it, and now I've just never been able to stop. It's my sport, right? It's what I watch every weekend. For most other games, I don't care enough. Like World of Warcraft and their push for the World First stuff. And I know it's not World of Warcraft pushing for it. It's the guilds pushing for it. I can see a lot of potential there. The problem is just that for some reason, World of Warcraft, the game, the company, Blizzard, doesn't seem to embrace it. Even though I would argue it's most likely the most successful esport in World of Warcraft, which is wild to me, because Blizzard have wanted an esport in World of Warcraft for the longest time. You know, they've been pushing for esports in World of Warcraft since forever. And here you have this esport effectively popping up, and it just, like, Blizzard ignores it like the plague, as if it doesn't even exist. And this would be the moment where World of Warcraft needs to dive in and be like, hey, fam, we see what you guys are doing here. Let's make this an official league. Because if Blizzard did that, can you imagine how this thing explodes? Because right now, what we have is a bunch of teams that basically put on their own show, and people get to choose which show they want to watch. But if you could have it done professionally, done by Blizzard, and also done equally, and the way that I would do it, if I was World of Warcraft and if I worked for Blizzard, if I was in charge of the esports, here's what I would do. So I would go to the tournament realms and I would naturalize the gear. So you make all of the gear the exact same item level for Mythic. It's not tied to the actual playing of the game. It's actually up to you. You gear your character, but all of the item levels are equal from the start, right? So no one is split farming normal or split farming heroic or anything like that. They get onto the tournament realm and they can basically go to one of those Tauren vendors and just pick the gear that they want, buy the trinkets, buy the rings, buy the everything, enchant it the way that they want to enchant it, and then everyone enters at the exact same time. So say the tournament starts at 3 p.m., everyone enters at 3 p.m., and then we follow the journey of these teams as they fight it out for, victory. Now, you could go even further there, and you could basically have it broken down boss by boss. So, in other words, everyone kills the first boss. Whoever gets it first gets first place or wing by wing, even if you wanted to. So, the first wing is, say, the first 3 bosses. The first one to clear it gets first place, second, third, fourth. And so on and so forth. Then everyone goes into Wing 2, and that happens. Winner there gets the place, and then, final wing, winner there, whoever has the most victories overall, they win the, the tournament or whatever the case might be. It just makes it, I'm not saying that's how it should be. I'm just saying there's some interesting ways in which you could approach these that I think would be a lot more fun for the viewers to watch, especially if you could have one place to watch everyone. Right, and it jumps between different people.
I don't know anything about WoW, so I'm going to have to go on what you said. But my counterpoint to you is that sounds great. I, as a viewer, wouldn't know what's going on, but that's fine. But Blizzard still wants to be able to make money off of that.
Yeah.
And as cool as all that sounds, where would their income stream come from? Because I feel like that would be the big thing that's holding WoW back.
Okay, so the income stream would effectively come from where every other esport income stream comes from. First, minor income from the viewership, like the physical viewership. The big income comes from sponsorships. And this is exactly where, if Blizzard made it official, so if there was an official, and the way I would actually run it, so if we're really going to get into it, right, I would do it, all of the teams, in order to qualify for Worlds, it is effectively a case of you do your race to World first on the tournament realm. Whoever wins, wins, right? And they're the victor. But then everyone has to go into the game, and then whoever finishes top 10, those 10 teams get into the race to World first, right? So the 10 teams that finish top 10 in the regular game, let's call it the regular season, they're automatically qualifying for next year's or next season's World First race. And from there, it's just a case of sponsorships. Because one of the things right now that is actually hurting a lot of the teams, so Team Liquid and all those guys, the reason they're struggling to actually pay their bills is because it's not made official. So sponsors aren't going to be willing to take out millions of dollars on a team like Team Liquid when they're not sure if this is going to last forever, because it's a player-run competition, right? It's not officially endorsed, so there's no knowing if this is going to exist in 2, 3, 4 years from now. Whereas if Blizzard made it official, these teams would be able to sell long-term sponsorship commitments. I mean, if it is official and these teams officially register with Blizzard, Blizzard could come up with a revenue share, right? So Blizzard could say, right, You guys are signed with us. 5% or 10% of all of your sponsorship money comes to us. Right? That's your buy-in. That's how you buy into it. So you guys have to bring in sponsors so that we get 5%, and we have to bring in sponsors because you get 5% or 10% or whatever the case would be. So it's an equal split of revenue share across the board. Or Blizzard could do salaries, which is another way. I believe Riot did that for a really long time, where Riot actually paid the salaries of the players. And in turn,
I think Riot still pays salaries.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Riot pays base salaries, and then teams can pay extra depending on the player that they want, right? So Blizzard could do something like that, and there's a revenue stream or revenue share that takes place there, and it allows for those teams to become a lot more professional as a result of it. And yeah, I think it would. That's where the money in esports comes from anyways, for Riot and for everyone else, sponsorships. And I think there would be tons of sponsorships. If you look at Race to World First, every year, the viewership is well over 1 million for the Race to World First, right? Every season, they get millions of viewers because people actually care about it. People actually want to watch the top guilds take down very difficult bosses, and they like the fact that these guilds are sort of racing each other in order to get it done. And like I said, I think it would be a hell of a lot more interesting when you can see everyone at the same spot. You can actually see Blizzard commenting on it. Like, imagine if they were going through the raid and you saw the actual raid designer on the desk talking about what they wanted the teams to do with these bosses and what these teams are actually doing with the boss. Like, this is the strategy that we sort of followed in order to get this boss down. They're doing it completely different. That's a very interesting concept. We didn't think that they would. It would be super interesting to people if Blizzard actually physically got involved and, you know, sort of endorsed the Race to World First. So yeah, I would love to get into that, but sadly that is not what we have right now. And I don't think we're gonna get into that. But as far as your original question that I've derailed fundamentally, I only watch League of Legends esports at the minute, at least.
I would highly recommend, if you ever want to watch other esports, watch old school StarCraft 2 from like Wings of Liberty, because that's some of the funniest shit you'll ever see.
I watched...
Or Brood War. Like really old Brood War.
So I've watched games here and there, obviously. Never watched competitions or anything, but I've watched games of StarCraft 2. I remember once, like, I don't know how the hell this showed up on my feed, but there was this was during the time when Korea was absolutely dominating, right? No one could beat the Korean players. And then a French player actually won. Like, he beat the Koreans. And he said, I don't know what his name was. I genuinely just watched the match. And he basically said, the only way to beat the Koreans is through creativity. If you're trying to do it by just doing it perfect, they're more perfect than you. Every single time. They're going to follow the fundamentals. They're going to follow the basics. They're going to outplay you. You have to be creative. You have to strike in ways that they don't see. You have to, you know, attack them in ways that they wouldn't think is possible. And that's how he ended up winning the competition, is through creativity. And the only reason I know that and why I remember it is because that is also coincidentally the only way that EU teams have always been able to beat Korean teams in League of Legends, is by just being more creative. Coming up with picks that the Koreans would otherwise not be able to sort of predict and don't really know how to play against. Of course, in recent years, League of Legends or Europe have constantly switched to the Korean playstyle instead of making the Koreans switch to their playstyle. So yeah, but that's about the extent of it. Oh, and then obviously every once in a while I'll get into the mood and I'll watch like... what's the esport called? CSGO? Yeah, I'll watch like a competition for the CSGO guys, or I'll watch compilations of Shroud owning people in CSGO, you know, things like that, but that's rare. Mostly just League of Legends.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for the question, man. Really appreciate that.
Yep, and if you do want a StarCraft game to check out that's super old and also infamous, EG Idra versus EG. I don't know if Huck was in TL or it was after he switched to EG. But Idra versus Huck in StarCraft 2 has one of the funniest, most infamous moments in all of StarCraft history.
All right, DM me the link to it so I can check it out, please. I always like checking out gameplays, so I wouldn't mind at all. All right. Thank you very much for the question, Sharky. Really appreciate it, bro.
Yep. See ya.
Right, take care of yourself, man. Enjoy your sandwich.
I finished it, but thank you.
Enjoy, man. Peace out.
Yep.
Ormi, by the way, Saven, thank you so much for the subs. Really appreciate you both. 22 months for Ormi, 19 months for Saven. Welcome back, lady and gentlemen. I really appreciate you. All right, so Amoni, who is next?
All right, up next we've got a first-time submitter. They just joined the Discord, Papaya Hunter.
Cool.
They want to know, do we even know how the old gods got on Azeroth in the first place? They are wondering, did they like fly through space, kind of like Tyranid style from 40k and just land on the planet, or were they seeded there by the Void Lords?
Okay, so the story in this instance is very much a hearsay story. So here's what we know, and this is only because of the Titans. So in the beginning, there was an ocean of light. The ocean of light exploded outwards, and it created the universe. The Void was stuck outside the universe with no ability to actually exist within the universe. The one thing that the Void was very much aware of was world souls. We don't know how they became aware of that. The Titans became aware of that because they were the world souls that were born. You know, world souls, by the way, exist within planets. The only way for the Void to fight back, because they can't actually physically exist in our realm. We have one example of a Void Lord that tried to come into our realm, and it was the Void Lord Dementius. And he basically showed up on the Ethereal home planet after the Ethereals screwed around with arcane magic and basically became super powerful as a result of their sort of experiments into the arcane. For Dementius to continue to exist, he basically had to feed off the planet, and effectively he consumed the entirety of the planet just to maintain his presence within the, for lack of a better word, the Materium. Because they are part of the Void, they cannot exist within our realm. So in order to exist within our realm, we are told that after the Void Lords found out about Titan World Souls, and we still don't quite know how they found out, but after they found out, they basically flung fragments of themselves. So the old gods are fragments of the Void Lords. They flung those fragments through the veil that separates the Void from reality into space. And basically, these fragments will fly and fly and fly until it hits something. So there might be thousands of fragments that is still flying through the great cosmos, because according to at least all of the information that we have, the cosmos is effectively infinite, right? It is incredibly large. In fact, so large that not even the Titans have traversed all of it. And the Titans are large and they can travel really fast, really far. And not even they have been able to go to the far reaches of the Great Beyond, as it is known. So these fragments simply fly until they hit a planet. And once they hit that planet, this is where their corrupting activities start. So they will burrow into this planet, slowly, obviously at first, and then deeper and deeper and deeper, and with every inch or meter that they go deeper, they will start to sap more of the energy of the planet. Now, if there is a world soul in this planet, they will start to corrupt it, and here's why they do this. They do this because they cannot corrupt a Titan that is fully birthed, right? So a Titan that already exists, like Aman'Thul or Sargeras, the Void had zero success at corrupting them. And corruption is kind of the game of the Void. They whisper, they influence, they drag you to their side, and then they make you a servant. The problem is that the Titans seem impervious to any sort of suggestion. The power of suggestion just does not exist where the Titans are concerned. And so the Void had this hypothesis. The hypothesis is that if they could corrupt a nascent Titan, then that will lead to them actually having a Titan. And according to at least Sargeras, a Void corrupted Titan would be the most powerful Titan in the universe. Nothing would be able to stand against a Titan that has both arcane magic and also the magic of the Void within it. So these old gods burrow and burrow and burrow and corrupt until such time that they can finally wholly corrupt this Titan. The Titans, on the other hand, go throughout the entirety of the Great Beyond, trying to find nascent Titans and either make them immune to old god corruption from the start, if there are no old god presence on the planet, or if they find old god presence on the planet, they then lock these old gods up, and they ensure that these old gods have no further influence on this planet. Everything that I've just explained to you and everything that I've just described to you is, of course, from the perspective and the book of the Titans. This is what the Titans have told us. Now, right off the bat, it starts with a lie. The Titans claim that the world started in an ocean of light. This is a lie. We now know that there is a place like Zereth Mortis called Zereth Ordus, and that is where the Titans are from. So it's a lie. The world did not start in an ocean of light. The world started in Zereth Ordus. At least we know that that is where the Titans are from, because the Titans didn't want us to know that this is where the Titans are from, right? We know that because of Tyr. Tyr actually said that there must be no mention of Zereth Ordus. The Titans do not want the mortals to know about Zereth Ordus. So the Titans it starts off with a lie. They're telling us something that isn't necessarily true. Now, on that, I just want to say, it could still potentially be true, considering what we know of Zereth Mortis. Zereth Mortis is located in an ocean of water, right? There's water everywhere. So is it possible that when you enter into Zereth Ordus, the water glows and makes it look like there is light everywhere? And that is why, from the perspective of the Titans, life starts in an ocean of light. In other words, literally, it looks like an ocean of light when you're inside Zereth Ordus. Possible, but still a lie, right? Because their initial response is sort of bullshit. Then, of course, we don't have evidence of lies around the old gods and how the old gods arrived on Azeroth. What we do have is multiple instances where the Titans have lied to us about a great many things. So I would say that take the entire explanation of how the old gods arrived on Azeroth with a massive grain of salt. That story was told to us for the Titans' benefit. This is what they thought we should know. Now, it could be that they told us 90% of the truth and about 10% they left out because they don't want us to know about the other 10%. Or it could be that only 10% of it is true and 90% is bullshit because the Titans didn't want us to know the full truth and the whole truth, because the Titans do consider themselves to be the arbiters of truth. And they believe that if we knew the truth, we would interfere. And of course, for anyone that still doesn't know, we are not allies of the Titans. The Titans are not our allies. We are tools. The Titans will use us when it is fitting and when it is convenient, but they will kill us when it is not. So as soon as we get in their way, they will absolutely kill us. They have no problems or qualms with it because we don't matter. What matters to the Titans is the existence of life. And if we become a problem or a threat to this existence of life, the Titans will absolutely end us. That's just the short and the long of it. There's, of course, many other things that we can draw upon. The gift of flesh or the curse of flesh. This is, again, one of those weird things. The Titans call it the curse of flesh. The old gods call it the gift of flesh. If we look at it objectively, we have to go with gift. You see, because before the curse of flesh was introduced, we were slaves to the Titans' will. We had to do what the Titan said. And then once the gift of flesh was bestowed upon us, we started to develop free will. The ability to say, but I don't want to live this way. I instead want to do X, Y, or Z. So go screw yourself. So it's sort of like every single piece of evidence that we have suggests that the Titans was full of shit. The sad or downside of that is, if that isn't true, we do not know where the old gods come from. And we don't even have enough to begin to theorize or speculate on it. That's how little we know about the old gods in the void. I want to be clear on this. This is not just a problem of us not knowing the origins of the void presence within the great beyond. We don't know enough about the void or the old gods as a whole to even begin to speculate on it. The only thing we actually know about the Void Lords, the only thing we actually know about the Void Lords is that there may have been one called Dementius at one point, even though the Ethereals kind of hint at it, but don't really want to talk about it. But we think that there was a Void Lord called Dementius at some point. We think that they can't exist within our realm, and we think that they are in a place called the Void. And we know that the old gods refer to them as the Masters. That's it. Everything else is based on guesswork and reading between the lines. That's about as much as we know about them. I hope that answers the question. Insofar as it doesn't answer the question, but it's the best I can do given the question. Yeah. Anyways, thank you very much for the question. Morny, who is next?
All right. Next.
Wait. Before we go, sorry. Just quickly want to say, if you have any questions, ladies and gentlemen, please do not, well, you can ask it in chat, because I am checking chat. Zed, how you doing, by the way? Thanks for the first time chat. I do check chat, but I'm never going to take a question from chat. Not during the Q&A. Outside of the Q&A, I'll take wherever the fuck you want to ask your questions. But inside the Q&A, I do ask that you write your questions in Discord. It allows for us to actually keep tabs on what the questions are, where the questions come from, and, it allows for Morny to also decide which questions to ask and which questions have already been asked and answered. Because we've been doing this for a while, there's plenty of questions that people have that we've already discussed. And so Morny and the mod team will literally just link you the video that discusses the relevant points that you may need in order to answer your own question. So yeah, it is better if you go into Discord, just type out !, Discord, and it will give you the link. Join Discord and then ask your question in the Q&A question section. Jump into the Q&A lobby and we'll pull you in and we'll answer or discuss your question. And yes, I do actually prefer if people jump into chat. I do actually prefer it because it's more fun. I get to actually have a conversation, but I won't force you to jump into chat, into voice, if you don't want to. Anyways, Morny, who is next?
Okay, up next we have Ace asking, about the beta design for the Dragon Isles. So, as we know, the beta design for the Dragon Isles had that old god or old god related corpse in it, that big Nautilus squid looking thing.
Yeah.
The question is, does the beta design for the Dragon Isles, which includes a old god head, is that canon to how a fifth old god might look like, or is that just simply like a placeholder?
I mean, it's definitely, if it was during the beta, then it's almost definitely not canon, especially if it was removed during the beta. It's interesting though that they would go with, like, they would add something like that to the game if they weren't working on it, right? Which is, so there's almost definitely,
I feel like I should specify what they mean by beta. I believe they mean the very first rendition of the Dragon Isles when they were going to include it in vanilla WoW, when it was going to be a like level 60 zone or something.
Yeah, I'm aware. I mean,
oh, okay.
Like, that's why I'm saying if it didn't make it into the actual game, it almost definitely isn't lore. It's not canonized. There are plenty of things that have happened in the past on the PTR that has not made it into the original game. And they usually don't make it into the original game either because Blizzard have a change of direction, a change of mind, or sometimes they just think it's stupid. Or they leave it for later. We already know that the old gods are very present on Azeroth, and we know that they're very present in the Dragon Isles. We've seen it. There are plenty of mentions and harkens to the old gods and what the old gods may or may not be up to within the expansion. So I would say there's definitely going to be a revelation around the old gods at some point. Here is where I think we shouldn't go. I don't want to see a fifth old god. Mainly because, well, when we get to 5, why can't we go to 6? And then why can't we go to 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or infinite? I mean, we could go as far as we want, right? What if there was 20 old gods on Azeroth and we've only seen 4 of them so far? And 5 that we know of, but there's actually 6 and 7 and 8 and all the way up to 20. It gets a little ridiculous after a while. I would far more prefer if what we get is the 4 that we know of, right? And the 4 that we have, well, the 3 that we faced and the 1 that we know the Titans faced, at least if they can be believed, and stick with that. And then, of course, the 5th being Xal'atath. Now, when it comes to Xal'atath, I literally just tweeted out, I think yesterday, I tweeted out, there's no denying that the old gods are going to be a fundamental part of the Dragon Isles. This is the moment that I think Blizzard should start giving Xal'atath her moment in the sun. You see, the story of Xal'atath is one that bothers, I think, anyone that knows anything about the lore. You see, there's stories and rumors and whispers about the creation of Xal'atath that we have never had, like, any inkling of answers to. Like, for example, when you run into Orgrimmar with Xal'atath, she whispers to the player, they will pay for what was done to me so long ago. In other words, something either in Orgrimmar, around Orgrimmar, or by some of the races within Orgrimmar. Someone did something to Xal'atath, and that someone will pay for what was done to her. She has whispers when you go to every single part of Azeroth. She speaks about the war between the Deep One, the god of the deep, and the god with 7 heads, and who won and who lost. In other words, Xal'atath was a fundamental core part of almost all of the old gods. And it's not obvious, or at least it is obvious, that Xal'atath was not always a blade. How do we know this? Because N'Zoth freed her. And we know that she did what she did to get free. Right? She served N'Zoth so that N'Zoth would ultimately free her, and N'Zoth, of course, kept to his side of the deal by freeing her once she delivered us to him. And that's... what is she?
Yeah, is she like a disciple of the old gods, some like punished faceless one or whatever, or like a nascent void lord, or I mean any number of random things.
My theory on it? Okay, this is wild. And I'm not saying that this is my final theory, but this is at least part of my theory. Xal'atath is the original old god. Xal'atath is the original old god that showed up from the Void Lords. From Xal'atath, her brothers were born. Well, we say brothers. The old gods don't really have a gender, so basically just her siblings were born from her. And as more and more of her siblings sort of broke off from her, as she was split more and more, she became too weak to actually stand against them. They then betrayed her and enslaved her within the blade. And she's been biding her time. With every single one of the old gods killed, Xal'atath has grown in strength. She's become more and more powerful because her power is once again sort of coalescing within her. The power is returning to her as a result of us killing the old gods. This might explain why Xal'atath was so eager to kill, because it feeds her. She gets stronger with every single one of those kills, and this is maybe, perhaps, what we're about to deal with is a true old god. What it was supposed to be, right? The way it was supposed to be. I don't know. Again, this would make a lot of sense, and this kind of replaces a theory that, like, I literally had this exact same theory about N'Zoth before we learned about Xal'atath even existing. My theory was that let me put it this way. My theory has always been that in the beginning there was one old god, and that old god made themselves into multiple old gods in order to escape true death. Why do I say that? Well, the old gods see all truths. This means that the old gods would have known, or the single old god would have known, if the Titans arrive on Azeroth and find it there, it will grab it and rip it out of the planet, thereby killing it. However, if it separates itself into multiples with one large one, it would ultimately ensure that it does not die. Because the Titans will rip out the large one, Y'Siraj, because it's the large one, see that this is actually going to kill the planet, so they can't keep doing it, and then sort of stop. And never mind, that was a stupid plan, let's not do that again. So that would be sort of my thin piece of evidence to support the theory. Sadly, there's not much else to go on, because we don't know much. Yeah. Sucks, but yeah, that really, we don't know much. I hope that answers the question. I hope that helps. Did I miss anything, Moni?
No, I mean, when it comes to the old gods, honestly, Blizzard kind of has a wide net that they can cast. I mean, they have the big four that we're used to. We've seen them in some capacity. We've fought at least 3 of them directly. The 4th one, Yasharaj, of course, was killed before us, and we just dealt with the remnants of him in the form of the Shah.
Yeah.
And then there's always been this weird like off comment or some quest or lore tidbit that was like, is there 5 gods? Is there only 4? We've only seen 4 right now, but then every now and again somebody would point back to the number because it seems to always have a question mark next to it.
Yeah. I will also say, I don't mind the fact that the lore around the old gods and the titans are sort of unwritten, as it were. Because in this instance, so I know that you guys will, some of you, at least those of you that have followed this channel for a really long time, but at Acheron and BFA and Shadowlands, you really complained about the lore being so underwritten. Well, yes, but in this instance, you are dealing with cosmic forces. And one of my complaints in Shadowlands was the fact that Blizzard removed the mystery from one of the cosmic forces, which now limits all future storytelling, because you've just removed a major sort of mover and shaker of modern day storytelling, right? So yeah, I kind of like the fact that it's so marred in mystery, because it allows for more story to play out in, well, literally an endless number of ways, because we don't know. Nothing can be retconned at this point. Blizzard can literally do anything with the old gods they want, and it will not retcon anything, because we don't know anything. We just don't know anything.
Unlike what they tried to do with the Shadowlands of it being the jailer all along, with him twirling his non-existent bald mustache. And we know how well that worked.
Yeah. Pretty much, right? So at the end of the day,
it's still such a sore point for me, because I freaking loved Wrath of the Lich King, and the jailer's existence just tarnishes Arthas's legacy.
Yeah, I mean, the jailer basically turned 2 of my favorite characters, Arthas and Sylvanas, into bitches, right? Stupid assholes that just were controlled and basically were just puppets of a guy that I really don't like. So yeah, it's sort of like it is what it is. But with the old gods, you have no such risks, because the old gods are largely unknown, and I hope they keep it that way. But anyways, thanks for the question. I really appreciate that. All right, we're actually getting through a number of questions here. I'm very happy about that, actually. Moni, who is next?
All right, up next is another old god related question. This is from
let's go.
Lofi/Geb. They're also a new member to the Discord.
Thank you.
They want to ask about the various presences that whisper to you during the quest line where we go back to save Eternus and Chromie as they're going through alternate timelines. What they ask is, how does N'Zoth know who I am, or what does he mean by he knows who I am and how I came, only he knows it? As far as I'm concerned, I beat the shit out of all 4 of them. I may not have killed them, but still, I am a character from a different timeline, so technically, I don't exist in that timeline. Do old gods transfer their data somehow? I think this really plays into several of our questions that you've answered today, that really boils down to the old gods existing out tangentially to all the timelines instead of in a specific one.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do this one almost as if this is a YouTube short, because it actually can be a YouTube short, or maybe it will be a YouTube short. Who knows? I haven't decided yet. But the old gods see all truths, and they regard all truths to be true. The only way in which this can be true is if the old gods view all timelines, because in every timeline, things play out differently. Not everything is gonna be the same, and this is the truth of the old gods. So, when Azoth sees us in Dragonflight and he says, I know you, I know what you've done, the reason he knows this is because he has already seen all of the timelines. He already knows what will happen within those timelines, and he believes it to be true. So when we show up in the Black Empire, they are not surprised at seeing us because they knew that we would be there in the first place. And this is ultimately what he means. This is why they know us, because they have always known us, because they know every single one of the timelines.
Yeah, just like I think it was like a couple weeks ago where I was talking about the difference between Norse Domu and Murazad.
There you
go. That the main difference is that one of them anchors themselves into the true timeline, and the other one kind of exists outside almost in all of them simultaneously. And it's the same thing as one of them's kind of looking through a funnel, where one of them is looking through all possible outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, so if you wanted to compare it, the light is said to see only one truth and believes in this one truth above all other truths. The void sees all truths and believes in all of those truths equally as being true. This literally, you could literally just replace truth with timeline, and it's exactly the same. The Titans, Aman'Thul, sees all of the timelines, but considers only one, the timeline that we are currently living in, as the true timeline. All other timelines simply serve as sort of threads within the ecosystem of timelines, but they are not true timelines. They exist sort of in, so whenever the Titans want to change something or do something, they can venture to one of the fake timelines and change things there, bring characters back, move characters around, because those timelines can be screwed in. Our timeline is pure and therefore cannot be fucked with. It's the same thing. It's literally described as the same thing. So as far as I'm concerned, it might not be canonical, but it's the only explanation for it. There's no other explanation. What other truths could the old gods be referring to? Because truths mean that you know what's going to happen. And if you see 1,000 truths, then that by itself is impossible. You cannot see 1,000 truths, because only one thing will happen. And if that one thing happens, then that happens to be the truth. So I could sit here and I could say, right, I am going to stream today at 2 o'clock and we're going to do a Q&A stream. If I stream at 2 o'clock and we do a Q&A stream, then that is the truth. If I do not stream at 2 o'clock, or if I stream at 2 o'clock and I don't do a Q&A, then my original truth is no longer true and a different truth has now replaced the original truth. The only way that doesn't happen is if there are multiple timelines. So one Akalon in one timeline starts his stream at 2 o'clock and also does a Q&A. Another Akalon in a different timeline starts his stream at 2 o'clock but doesn't do a Q&A. And another Akalon in another timeline doesn't start his stream at 2 o'clock and also doesn't do a Q&A. And then a fourth Akalon in a different timeline gets a blowjob and he's much happier than any of the other Akalons. But he's not important now. We're only talking about the three that is important. Those would be considered to be truths, because they are all true, and they have all happened. But only one of them is true, and that happens to be the one of whichever timeline I currently exist in, and the other timelines I obviously have no knowledge of. Since the old gods exist in all timelines equally, and before people go, what do you mean? The canonical lore of the Well of Eternity suggests that the Well of Eternity exists in all timelines across the galaxy. The Well of Eternity isn't... There aren't some timelines with no Well of Eternity and some timelines with, you know, a Well of Eternity. All timelines have the Well of Eternity. How is the Well of Eternity created? By Yasiraj being pulled out of Azeroth. That created the Well of Eternity. Now, it actually created a massive wound, and it filled. The Titans then sort of equalized it and calmed it and balanced it, and that is what turned it into the Well of Eternity. But the Well of Eternity exists everywhere, at least from the canonical reading of the lore. It exists everywhere at the same time. The only way that could be true is if when the Titans ripped Yasiraj out of the planet, they also happen to have done it in every single one of the timelines. Right?
Yeah, that's actually interesting because it suggests that Yasiraj knew or planned his death in all timelines. Like, he knew he has to be, you know, planted at the spot on Azeroth that would become the Well of Eternity and get ripped out, or in otherwise, you know, killed in some fashion to create the well.
Yeah, I mean, it depends,
as like a knowing
right?
sacrifice.
Yeah, but I mean, it depends. So Yasiraj could have seen multiple outcomes, because this is, again, the problem with truth, right? If you see every single truth, in some of them, you get ripped out and killed. In others, you grow so large that the Titans preemptively don't want to pull you out of the planet because they don't know how the planet will react, and that then allows you to live on. In some of them, you defeat the Titans, and the Titans don't win at all, and they don't get to rip you out of the planet at all. It all depends on which truth N'Zoth ultimately focused on. Not N'Zoth, Yasiraj focused on. And it's almost clear that N'Zoth went the route of the too big to fail. So I will become so big, because he is said to have been nearly double the size of any of the other old gods. He was massive, right? And the idea was, in my opinion, get so big that they can't pull me out of the planet. I'm just too big to fail. And obviously that backfired gloriously, but that was the plan. And yeah, it's sort of like
as it turns out, old gods, unlike banks, don't have a don't get to be, you know, bailed out when they become too big to fail.
No, unless they do. Because if I am correct, and Xal'atath is indeed the OG old god, then Xal'atath bailed him out. Because as soon as Yasiraj was ripped out of the planet, his essence returned to the origin. Right? And Xal'atath became a little bit stronger as a result of it. If I'm correct, right? That's just the theory.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't know. But anyways, I hope that answers the question. I appreciate the question. I always love talking about old god stuff, and I realize that so many of you have questions about the old gods. Believe me, you are not alone. I have questions about the old gods too.
Yeah, I started going through the I started going through the Q&As here, and I was like, let's find the theme here today, and it turned out to be old gods.
I love it. All right, thank you very much for the question. Really appreciate it. Okay, so who is next, Morny?
Up next, we have Maxi99. I'm gonna pull them up.
All right, Max, how you doing, bro?
Oh, hello.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Hello.
Oh, dude, I love what you do for the lore community.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's my absolute pleasure. I love doing it. So, thank you. What's your question, bro?
Okay, so my question will be taking into account that Galakon got his never-ending hunger.
Yeah.
After consuming all of the proto-drakes and their respective elemental magics.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can you logically make the claim that the void is the accumulation of all elemental magics?
Yeah, I mean, you literally just awakened an obvious truth to me that I don't know how I missed this. What is void? Void is emptiness, right? And if you truly had, let's say, for example, we had a hole in the ground that was the void, it would be a hole that could never be filled, right? It would literally just be an endless pit of nothingness, and nothing could ever survive in it. It would swallow the world, so to speak, if given enough time. And that's what Galakrond was. He was the void become life, right? Become sort of manifest. Because Galakrond could not stop eating. In fact, it got so bad that Galakrond ultimately started eating the dead protodrakes as well. So he literally started eating the undead protodrakes because he couldn't find live ones anymore, because he had killed most of the live ones, and those that were still alive was in hiding from Galakrond. Now, could I make a reasonable claim that the void is the accumulation of all elemental magic? Probably not. I could make the claim that the void became unstable. Right? And so, so here's where things get really wild in terms of World of Warcraft. You have order and disorder in World of Warcraft. Opposite ends of the spectrum, meant to keep each other in balance. You have life and death. Opposite ends of the spectrum, meant to keep each other in balance. You have light and question mark. Because void is not the opposite of light. And light will not keep void in balance. If void truly is void, void will literally consume everything. And it will do so gladly. So void cannot be the opposite of actually anything other than reality. Right? Because if void is nothing, reality is something. Something is the opposite of nothing. But again, something would not necessarily counteract nothing. Because the void isn't just nothing. The void is all-consuming. Reality is something waiting to be consumed. So I'm almost convinced at this point that the void, and I'm going to throw this out here. Okay, so if we go back to the origins of the universe, what did that look like? According to Steve Denuser, right? Sorry, what did you want to say, Max?
I thought you asked me a question. So
no, sorry.
I mean, it was light and void, like, basically.
That's what they say, right? The Titans tell us that it was light, and then perhaps the void was there at the beginning as well, at least according to the Titans. But that's based on the Titans, so let's put a pin on that, in that for now. Let's rather ask ourselves, okay, what did the origins of Azeroth look like? Well, we know that Azeroth was there. We also know that the Elemental Planes was there from very early on, because the Titans didn't even know how the Elemental Planes came into existence. They just knew that they were there. Sorry. They just knew that they were there. That's it, right? So, what if Steve Denuser, in an interview during BFA. Yeah, BFA. During BFA, Steve Denuser is asked about the cosmological forces, the elemental forces, and so on and so forth. Steve Denuser says, you can look at the elemental forces as the primal magic of the universe, with the cosmological forces being the higher magic of the universe. Now, in most fantasy worlds, higher magic is made up of primal magic. So higher magic comes from primal magic being the primary magic of the universe. If this is true, it means that the elemental planes were there first. Now, I'm trying to think, and maybe someone in chat or you, Max, can help me with this, but I'm racking my brain and I can't think of an example. Have we ever encountered the elemental force called Spirit outside of the speculation or the theory that Azeroth consumed all Spirit upon, like, her growth period. She went through a growth spurt and then she... Have we ever encountered Spirit?
I mean, only Troll comes to mind when you mention Spirit. Besides that, I don't.
Where on Draenor, Zed? Because my mind instinctively went to Draenor, right? Like, instantly just went Draenor, somewhere on Draenor, but then it blanked again. I was like, but maybe not on Draenor. Yeah, spirit beasts is a different discussion, because spirit beasts can absolutely exist. I'm talking specifically about the elemental plane, including the elemental lord of spirit. Because we know that the elemental lord of spirit does not exist on Azeroth. That we know. There's no elemental lord of spirit. They've been consumed, or whatever the case, right? We have confirmation that the elemental planes were created by the Titan Keepers to imprison the elemental lords after the old god's defeat. The Keepers couldn't kill the elemental lords as they were of Azeroth and would simply return. This is from the first Rodden. Yeah, but Crisco, if I'm talking about the elemental planes, I'm not talking about the physical location. I'm talking about the elementals and their existence. There's no explanation for where the elements come from. Only that they have always been there, or at least that they are there, if that makes sense, right? Oshigami is a Naru, not an elemental. The elemental lord of spirit was consumed by the Evergrowth on Draenor. Okay, so the elemental lord of spirit was consumed by the Evergrowth on Draenor. Right, so what if, and I'm just gonna throw this out there, and like I said, this is I have no evidence for this, but what if the void is spirit that lost its balance? So when the primal magics of the universe formed, and you had earth, water, wind, or air rather, and fire, and spirit. So you had the primal magics. What if spirit became unstable? And as a result of this instability, the void was born. And for this, we sort of go in a sort of tacked on way, and we go to the Expedition Journal, and the Expedition Journal says that there was a need for more, and so the cosmological forces came into existence. There was a need for more. Need suggests that something happened. Something happened that required the existence of higher magics. So what if spirit is the one that devolved into the void? And this is why we don't see spirit. Why spirit is the one that's conspicuously missing all the time from everywhere. That's just my question, right? I'm not saying that it's true. I'm not even saying that you should believe it, because I don't think you should believe it, because we've seen examples of spirit creatures. The only thing that this is based on is the fact that we've never actually seen a spirit lord, which can suggest that we see spirit creatures everywhere, or sometimes, not even everywhere, but we do see them sometimes because there are still remnants of spirit around. But there's not enough for it to actually spawn a lord. So a lord of spirit cannot be born because the spirit that used to be there has devolved into void. And that's where the void lords come from. They were the original Lords of Spirit. That's crazy. It's a crazy theory, but that's the one I have. Max, what do you think of that?
I mean, if you talk about spirit, if you go back to like Mists of Pandaria, like the monks used to use this thing called chi.
Yeah.
Yes, chi is basically spirit.
Yeah,
in that sense. So, and like during the expansion, you do like meet like how should I say, like you do like go through what chi is, like the game does explain to you.
Yeah, I know, I'm aware.
But like it's not as clear cut. Like they don't tell you it's exactly spirit. You get what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is, Azeroth consumed a bunch of spirit. So chi would come from Azeroth, would make sense, because Azeroth does have a lot of spirit consumed. This is also coincidentally where we would go to Algalon in Ulduar. When Algalon is scanning Azeroth, he finds corruption levels are dangerously high. So Azeroth is corrupted already. But the Old Gods have been imprisoned for most of their existence, at least since the Titans arrived. And when the Titans arrived on Azeroth, they did not find Azeroth to be too corrupted. They found Azeroth still savable. Algalon, on the other hand, finds that Azeroth cannot be saved and that Azeroth should be reordered, right? Reoriginated, so to speak. So my question is, what if the spirit that Azeroth consumed already turned her into this quote-unquote Void Titan, but not a Void Titan? She consumed the spirit before it could be used by the Void in order to grow stronger. It's a ragtag theory, to say the least. It's part of my stretch to try and explain the Void, if that makes sense. Because that's really the one thing that I'm trying to do desperately, is explain what the Void is. Because, well, we know so little about them, and yet they've been the drivers of so much of World of Warcraft, if you really think about it. So much of what World of Warcraft does and what happens in World of Warcraft is driven by the Void. And what the Void is. And yet, almost no knowledge about what the Void is or what the Void Lords are, or even what the Old Gods is, to some extent. Other than what the Titans told us they are. Right?
I mean, that was the whole reason the Titans even bothered to come to Azeroth, was the presence of the Old Gods. Like, rather, not just come, but the reason why they were traveling the cosmos when they found Azeroth infested with these Old Gods, they're like, oh, this cannot be good.
Yeah. I mean...
And technically the Burning Legion now is connected to at least something that Sargeras saw in the Void that prompted him to, take up his blade and betray the Titans.
Please remember where that comes from? That comes from the Titans as well. The Titans were the ones that said that Sargeras heard from a friend that, the Void Lords are the real problem. Sargeras, as far as I know, never told us that the Void is the real problem. I don't remember Sargeras ever saying that. What I do know is that the demons fight the Void and the Light in equal succession. Like, they hate both of them. Very much so. And the Light hates the demons. With the Light and the Void despises the demons in equal measure. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, all we have is the words of the Titans. Anyways, Max, did you want to add anything or ask anything else?
No. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for the question. I'm so sorry that I couldn't answer it in more detail. You literally asked
No, it's a K.
one of those black hole questions in World of Warcraft where all I can give you is loosely based random ass theories because we genuinely don't know. And you sort of have to pull it out of your ass. Just be like, "I'll maybe this." Let's see how that goes. I love those theories, and they're very fun to discuss because effectively you pull one out of your ass, and then you sort of follow it until you hit enough roadblocks in the theory, and you go, okay, clearly not this. This isn't working. And then you pull another thing out of your ass, and you follow that, and you see how many roadblocks you can get, and then hopefully you get a theory that doesn't hit any snags or any roadblocks. But yeah, those are rare. Because, well,
in other words, Akalon just likes pulling stuff out of his ass on TV or on camera,
or putting it in.
Okay.
Max, thank you so much for the question, bro.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself, fam.
Okay, see you.
Peace out, man. Well, you have to put it in if you're gonna pull it out, right? Otherwise, what the fuck are you pulling out? All right, we'll make this the last question for the day, and I can see Tasty hanging out there.
I'll grab him.
All right, Tasty, how you doing, man? Tasty?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, man. What's your question?
Now, we know that the Titans said they banished each of the 4 primal forces to planes, correct?
Yeah.
So we can look at that they imprisoned them.
Yeah, we know they imprisoned them. So basically, just to give you a bit of a rundown, when the Titans arrived on Azeroth, the old gods had already driven the elemental lords to absolute fucking nuts. Like, the old gods... so, the way the lore reads, it's kind of like the lack of spirit already threw the elemental lords into... or the elemental forces into sort of flux. And then the old gods came and made it a million times worse. Because now suddenly the old gods were sort of enlisting the... elements in their wars, and the problem, as someone in chat mentioned earlier as well, the problem was that because the elements and the elemental lords are of Azeroth, they can actually not be killed. So Azeroth is sort of like their twisting nether for the demons. Every single time you kill one of the elemental lords, they will simply be reborn because they're of Azeroth. They don't actually die, or at least killing them is very, very difficult. And so they had to tie them into elemental planes. But that tying into the elemental planes is actually... it's more than just imprisoning them. By tying them to their own elemental planes, which the Titan Keepers built, it also made it possible to kill them. So very similar to if you want to kill a demon, you have to kill it inside the Twisting Nether. By removing the tie from Azeroth to the elemental plane, if you kill the elemental lord now within its elemental plane, it does die because it isn't tied to Azeroth anymore, it is tied to its elemental plane. So it's sort of like a prison, but also the ability to now defeat it should needs be. But then, of course, they locked them inside these elemental planes and basically just left them there, so to speak. But yeah, that's just a quick rundown for anyone that might have wondered. Continue, Danfire.
What if Azeroth didn't absorb spirit, but spirit being like the intellectual part of the primal forces, they locked them to the Shadowlands. We know the Shadowlands aren't the way they originally were. What if they use spirit to work through the Shadowlands, therefore taking the intelligence out of the primals? So the primal plane of spirit is actually the Shadowlands.
I mean, I think you're right, but in a sort of adjacent kind of way. Because you just said something that kind of made my previous theory even more plausible. So what is spirit? Spirit would be considered life, right? Like, at least close to life. If you were to talk about primal magic, spirit would be soul. If we talk about religion, for example,
non-material life.
Well, yeah, but if you look at religion, for example, spirit is the soul. The Holy Spirit is the soul part of the Trinity. Spirit is soul. Spirit is something that is required for life to exist. Now, what happens when the gift of flesh is bestowed upon the Titan Keepers? They are filled with anima. Right? The Titan Keepers, the normal Titan Keepers, do not possess anima because they don't have souls. There's no reason for anima. But as soon as the gift of flesh is bestowed upon us, we suddenly have this ability to create anima. Anima could be seen as spirit. No? Wouldn't anima be the closest thing to spirit that we have? Like, the closest example, at least, of spirit would be anima. So, the fact that the old gods have this innate ability to grant spirit or, souls to beings would suggest that perhaps they are spirit. Perhaps that's exactly what spirit is. And where spirit went. Just as an example, for your theory that the Shadowlands is where the realms of spirit is, I'm not sure, because there's no real evidence that the Shadowlands. The reason being, if the Shadowlands truly was where spirit congregated or where spirit was, the Shadowlands wouldn't have this immense need for anima. Because all you had to do was tap into the realms of spirit and you would have all the power that you could possibly need. The fact that they need this anima suggests that spirit isn't present, so to speak, at least not there. And at least that's my theory. I'm not sure if you have a different take on it.
Well, you go by the religion, spirit is the intelligence / personality you've developed while you were living on the mortal plane. So, we know that Ardenweald is the main place we drop off anima throughout the Shadowlands.
Well,
and it's the one place that you can send back a spirit / personality, like Ysera, like Ursulok, if they didn't drain him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying the spirit's there, but the Titans don't have total control over it. But they can add more spirit from the anima coming in. It's like the spirit blood / go-go juice. And that's how they're maintaining / modifying it. They don't have total control of it, but they're using the power of the mortals dying to manipulate and do the best they can with a system that they didn't totally create.
Yeah. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't quite see like the threads within the lore to back it up. Right? Because it's fine as a theory since we don't actually know where spirit is. So we could effectively create anywhere for spirit to be. The issue is why the Shadowlands? Because that's the fundamental question that I'm going to ask. why choose the Shadowlands as the location for Spirit? Like, what is that based on? Outside of just, you know, it makes logical sense or whatever. I want to know, is there any part of the lore that suggests that Spirit might be in the Shadowlands?
I don't see any lore itself, but then again, if you think about it, if Spirit was consumed, the system would have to collapse because you need all 5 of the primal magics to create the higher magics.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Because if the higher magics, instead of pulling from 5, instead just pulled from 4, they would still be able to exist. All they would have to do is ensure that the one other would always remain on the outside, which is kind of what they've done with the Void, right? The Void is the one that doesn't make sense. I made this video a while ago already. Out of all of the cosmological forces, the Void does not make sense. It just doesn't fit. All of the others seemingly have a place, a space, a reason for existing, except for the Void. Because what's the purpose of the Void? What does the Void actually do? It literally just wishes to consume. It also doesn't seem to really serve a purpose in the grand scheme of things, other than it wants to consume everything. It wants to bring about the end of everything. It makes, like, it doesn't even necessarily seem to care about its own existence outside of, you know, wanting to consume everything. So it's the one that doesn't make sense.
If you look at it from the prospect of Void being like the Nathrezim, what if the Void is our... If you look at it, they are our Nathrezim. They are from Azeroth. They are working against the outside meddlings of the cosmological forces. That's why they consume all. What do they consume all of? They consume all of the influences of the cosmological forces.
Yeah, but again, your theory is just going to be countered based on what in the lore. This is why the Void is such an interesting topic, but also such a frustrating one. Because everything we talk about, we can kind of link together if we accept a number of things to be true beforehand. So basically, we lay the groundwork for the theory, like you just did there. If we accept that the Void is the Nathrezim, or like the Nathrezim, well, then, yeah, sure. But there's never been any evidence that the Void is like the Nathrezim, or even closely related to Azeroth. In any way, shape, or form, outside of, you know, what we think may be the truth. So, I don't know, is the only answer I can really give you, Tasty, is that I genuinely don't know. And I wish I did, because the Void is by far, if you look on my channel, I don't think any other element of World of Warcraft has sparked more speculation theories than the Void. I have literally hundreds of theories about the Void. Literally hundreds of them. I don't think I've ever gone a month without at least one Void theory or some kind of old god theory. So I'm very excited and interested in the old gods in the Void. But also frustrated because none of it can be proven. We don't really know what they are or what they aren't. And the only way we can speculate about them is by sort of arbitrarily accepting certain premises and then building the theory off of the premises that has been widely accepted by all of us, you know, at least those who want to. And then, of course, you always get people in the comment section that go, well, I reject your premise, so your entire theory is wrong. So, well, yeah, okay, cool. That was kind of the point of the theory. Everyone had to agree on the fucking premise in the first place. But, okay, never mind. We'll start again. So yeah, it's always interesting. It's always changing. As it were. Tasty, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, other than I love saying what if. Have a good one, boss.
Peace out, bro. Take care of yourself, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate all of you for coming out. Trickster, I apologize for not being able to take your question. I promise to take it next week. Make sure that you're here first so that I can get to your question first. Moni, if you can also just jot down that Trix is top of the list for next week, that'd be great. So if Trix shows up, that we can at least give him a spot. I appreciate all of you for coming out, for hanging out with me today, and spending your afternoon, your morning, your evening with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. The reason I have to go now, I wish I could stay with you guys longer, but the reason I have to go is I have about an hour and something left before my power goes out, and I still have to do the Patreon podcast. So I can't stay for longer. I wish I could, because I would have much preferred to continue streaming. We didn't even get any fucking reactions done today, which sucks. But hey, hopefully soon, right? Hopefully soon. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, be kind to each other, be good to each other. And if you're a patron or a YouTube channel member, come over to YouTube, because we'll be live streaming on YouTube exclusively to patrons and YouTube members. And I have a feeling that old gods are probably going to be part of that conversation. A strong suspicion, let's call it that. But I'll see all of you over there in about 5 minutes or so. Peace out, fam.